if it would work. All right. So, a little bit overview where we're at right now. We are in this proximity analysis part, data mining, and network analysis. Actually, we kind of skipped the network part. Woody, are you moving or are you raising your hand?
We can't see.
Why don't you sit here so you're closer?
I like it back there.
Ah, okay, thank you. But if you look carefully in that green circle, there's raster analysis, 3D analysis, procedural rules, animation. So this is what I call the fun stuff of GIS, because you're already at the point where you can say, hey, I'm done with the simple stuff. I know the basic tools. You know, you showed me like 3 screwdrivers, 3 little hammers. I can now combine that and move from an old rusty car to a Maserati. No? And the liability insurance waiver gives me the right to make all the scratches and damages to that Maserati I want. All right, so proximity buffers. Proximity buffers are really, really cool. We have started this class with drive time analysis, which is, again, is kind of a proximity, but it measures time. Proximity buffers here, or if someone says, hey, why don't you buffer this? Is a distance to the physical object or shape. So point, polygon, point, polyline, polygon. You can see right now here on the top left, these are points as inputs. They get us a circle, or remember the egg white, fried eggs. Then you have, say, you have selected some streets. You buffer around those streets to say, hey, what's the impact of the street noise? You don't have to run complicated models. If you just say, hey, a 1/4 mile walking distance from that street would be interesting. So how many houses, how many people do I have living in a 1/4 mile of that street? You can do that. Simply visualize it and overlay. You don't have to count the people. You could. But if you're interested in saying, hey, this is a specific corridor I want to present for visualization, just buffer them. Select the streets, buffer them. You don't need to have a standalone segment of a street. You can select it in that existing layer. You don't have to export, save, and all that. You could, but you don't have to. Depends again on what do you need, just the buffer, or you want to highlight that segment as well. There are different ways to do that. And the same thing here in the square or the polygon. The important part is the more distance you give, the more the corner is rounded. And the reason why that happens is, can you see that? If you have this corner here from a square, and you say, give me a certain distance from every boundary of my object. You can see here the corner point has the same distance. So that's the reason why you end up in like this rounded corner here. Same thing system. Every time you do this, it's like, oh, why is it so round? Because it gives you that extension here on this side. All right. Why would we use this? How can we use this? This is a little bit an older screenshot from the textbook. You can easily see that there are different situations, different drugs and arrests. We have seen that multiple times, But you want to show now, hey, what is the drug policy in that area? Drug-free schools, 1,000 feet buffer. Well, now I can see easily around each of those schools, you just did draw a 1,000 feet buffer. This is 1,000 feet as the crow flies. Like you throw your bird up in the sky and have him or her fly. This is not 1,000 feet along the streets. You also can see it doesn't matter. It goes beyond backyards and other stuff. Yes, please.
Did
Did you use the snip tool to export that?
The what?
Did you screen snip to put that on its way?
Oh, there's this really great tool in Windows, the sniping tool.
Yeah. Is that how you?
So most of the screenshots you can do is really cool if you go to sniping. Just type in SNI, get a sniping tool, and then here you get this whole thing, and then can draw and drag and drop, and you can screenshot really fast. Cool quality, good enough for PowerPoints. You do not have to save everything as an export field, okay?
So that's how you got that image?
Yeah, it's most of the stuff. All right. All right, so buffers. Another example of buffers. Yeah. Same thing here. This is where you live. This is the access to the open park. Yeah. Or actually, that's the school. And see, okay, fine. What are the green spaces? Again, here's the problem. This is as the crow flies. This is not as a kid will walk. Huh?
Drive time.
It's not drive time or walk time. So if you tell someone, oh, I live just a block away from the closest neighborhood park, and they're like, oh, cool location, walk there. You're like, yeah, but you have to cross I-95. Not going to work. Okay. More in detail. This is a piece I did a while ago. I'm sorry. So the dots are census block midpoints, centroids. Yeah? And the argument was, if you have this park or this park in purple, how far are they in terms of access? That line, the black line here, is the distance from the park center. Here. The purple one is the distance from the park corners. Huh? So are you going to measure the city of Davie as the midpoint of the city of Davie, or do you measure the boundaries of the city of Davie? In this example here, you can see it differs.
What would be a use that you would have that? What would be the objective for doing something like that?
This one? Oh, let me point out the blue dots, blue plus signs. The blue plus signs are the identified access and entry points to that park. Does it matter where you park in front of Marlin's Park? Go to the stadium? Let's say you have only one access point to the stadium. You have the front entrance as the main access point. If you park behind the building, you need to walk around the whole thing. Yeah? And the argument here is, if this is your main access point, and this is actually an irrigation canal and a 6-lane country or local road, it doesn't matter that you live here and you're within half a mile of that park. It will take you this road down, change down here, come through, go back, park here. Yeah? So, mind-blowing exercise on this one. I took out the other stuff. Every time you talk about access to something, you need to question how they measured the access. Did you use the network distance along the streets, or did you just draw a line as the crow flies? That's a huge difference. And you already know for business analysts, you can also simulate the idea of drive time with traffic. So there's a difference between a 4 p.m. going into downtown Fort Lauderdale, or the 12 o'clock, or the 3 p.m. Yeah? And we all dial in a little bit more time for the rush hour. All right, so keep that in mind. The way you measure from the center or the boundaries, or let's say from the access point, you can get different results. And if you're now in a position where you would have to make policy recommendation how to use your budget, yeah, or stand in front of investors and deliver a speech about why you're awesome and why are you doing that kind of consumer profile and that kind of potential customers, well, you better make sure that you deliver this in the right measurement and the measurement concept. You don't have to go in detail like we did today. You don't have to write them a dissertation level report on why this gap differs, but if you just remember, all the green dots are blocks, census blocks that are accessible of these parks. The red dots here are already not accessible because they actually have to go the other way around. Just because you live close to a park does not mean that you can access it easily. Yeah? And that's the problem for which you can use GIS to provide solutions, or at least present the problem in a better way. All right, multiple ring buffers. Oops, I didn't do that exciting. Okay, we can do this on the fly. Like PowerPoint slide is an example in the practical part, so I didn't do that. All right, there's an example here. Obesity patients, can you barely see that? There's actually a cut in colors. You can see where my hand is right now. There's a little change in colors. So there's actually different zones used as a buffer around the park. Yeah. Same thing here. This is an example from the textbook. You actually have different buffers from the locations in the parks. Yeah. And you can see not so great color settings, but it does the job to show, okay, fine, not everyone lives close by. Yeah? Not everyone lives close by, and you also have different other indicators in terms of elements. Oh yeah, this is mine. The other part, you could present then and say, okay, fine, these are actually pools. And how far away are students and people living from these pools? Same concept. You see a buffer that is not dissolved, the green one, and that next range, the distance range here, is dissolved to make it easier to look at it. Yeah? When you apply a complicated way of symbology and you get this idea, okay, this is close by or not so close. Super simple. Takes you maybe 5 minutes to understand the tool, to set it up. Takes you probably 10 minutes to make it look funny like this. And everyone is like, oh, cool visualization. Huh? Not all these tools are most of those tools are super fast to set up. It takes longer to make them look beautiful than actually have the tool placed. Huh? That's about the buffers. Want to hear more? Yeah. Press the next button. Let's do a repeat to refresh your minds. If we want to manipulate our data, yeah? If we want to manipulate our data, we have different tools. One of the really cool tools we have is selections. If you look at ArcGIS Pro on the ribbon top left, when you look at map, it has like in the middle of that ribbon map, not the map panel, the map on the top left, the ribbons. It has selections, variations with graphics and draw and circles, all that manual selection. It has select by attribute, and it has select by location and other tools. The select by location has like two mapping symbols. And the select by attribute has a map symbol, like polygons, and a small table icon. Meaning, in the exercise we have done with geocoding, you just not did geocode addresses. Use all the data in that table to get it referenced on the map through the process of geocoding. And we've done that. Everyone should be happy about this. We're going to do geocoding today one more time, but pretty much you're done with this. You know how to do this. Yeah? You can do this now for 20, 25 addresses or 2,000. Yeah? It comes down to computing powers and just having fun with it. Yeah? So, every data you got has this table format. Every point, or every polygon, every line you will have on the screen has an attribute table in the back. Remember, I started out teaching this class and saying, and technically you have a dot on the map and an Excel spreadsheet on steroids in the background. So, one way to tap into that Excel spreadsheet here in quotation marks on steroids is to use the select by attribute table. So you're going in and say, hey, database, data table, talk to me. And the way you talk to the data table is, among other things, with the add clauses in the tool. So the add clause, which is somewhat cut off down here, as you can see here on the bottom, basically says, I want to select from this layer here as type of a new selection, because there are different versions, different ways to select. I want to select from the field FIPS that begins with a specific sequence. If you do the exercise and say, I want to select the city of Davie, I need to find the field that contains the information about the city, and say the field that has city in there equals to, and then click on here on the little button to the right and have all the values listed, and say, hey, select the city of Davie, or Fort Lauderdale, or Houston, Texas, whatever data you have in the back inside the table. Important thing, you need to close that so-called where clause. You need to close that with add or with update. Add when you do it the first time. When you come in and edit and change it, you need to click update. You need to close this. You cannot have cancel, add, and other buttons here. Because if you don't close it and run the tool, it will return the old questions, the answers to the old question. If you switch here from Davie to Plantation and you don't do an update, it will still show Davie at the end in your count. If you only look for the count, if you don't look into the table, you will not see that mistake. So have a table open, see what you select, take a look at what you plug in.
So how do you unselect Davie?
It is a new selection. Every time you run that tool, it will unselect everything and it'll select the new stuff. If you wonder about this new selection stuff, click on it when we open up the tool and look at the options. It's like 6 or 8. Think about that. Boolean algebra, and or inverse exclude, everything is possible. You can add, you can separate, you can add Davie and Plantation and Cooper City, and then you do something else and take everything in Plantation above 500,000, I'm taking out. But you still have everything else from Plantation there. You can combine different steps, or you write one very long statement with clauses. That depends on your workflow and the way how cool you feel. Angelo's probably going to write 20 statements. Some will maybe do 5 or 6 different selections, but adding them together. Both works. That's the important part. Eggs, flour, milk is making more than just pancakes. Yes, please.
So 2 questions. One, what type of algebra?
Like Boolean algebra,
All right.
like Boolean, Boolean.
Okay. Yeah. So then, question 2, for the Pro application, what's it most intensive on in terms of the computational power you're talking about? Is it RAM, CPU?
What do you mean? You need to find your tech geek time outside of classrooms with me. I cannot start talking tech environment, RAMs and computing powers in that setup. Just that question is blowing half the class out of the water. Me too. I'm awake now. I would think the work we do, particularly today, the graphics is the most training part in computing powers, because we do some 3D stuff, so that's heavy on the graphics chips. But again, if you are not doing intense 3D work, a standard stock laptop is doing the job. there are some recommendations about RAM and storage, but in theory, every regular computer can do that. You might have to wait a moment or two, but let's say it like this. I stall my laptop if I don't set up my system the right way, because I'm using 800,000 data points from a comma-separated file instead of putting it into a data table and optimize the database. Just give you that talk.
That's why I asked.
It's like a bunch of bicyclists riding down the road, or you put everything in a fine-tuned triathlon setup.
I crashed my computer.
We can talk about those technical issues for individual workshops. Okay? Select by attribute. Again, I am going to ask that database behind that map. Hey, select everything that fits into that description. Like literally, you yell at your computer, I want you to select this, that, and that. I want to select everything that is set to the city of Davie. Add the clause, run the tool. And the computer hopefully gives you a response. Huh? Same thing, use the select by location. Meaning it's the location in relationship to the object you're looking at the screen. Yeah? That's the reason why the tool shows you two different polygon layers. If I say select everything within the city of Davie, I'm going to ask that against my attribute table. I also could say here in this example, I want to have everything inside the county selected by other geographic units. Or in our example, what we're going to do is, I'm going to remember the sum parcels we did? Sum parcels DBF file, Excel file, we geocoded the first time. It had land values in there. It also had some other things floating around. So what you also can say, select by location, is we had that little square, the so-called small wrapper. Because this is why I want to cut and clip and organize my data with. I just say, hey, everything that is within that boundary, or in GIS terms, intersects, is selected. Because they touch each other, because they're close to each other, they're upside down to each other. There are 50 different rules how you could do that by location. The simple thing is, I'm here, I am selecting all the students that are within 50 feet of me. And then I get rid of them, everyone who wears classes gets in the next step unselected. Yeah? So the example of the students is interesting. This is my location. 50 feet. Everyone pretty much in this room. Maybe not James. No, that's 50. Huh? Selected. This is select by location. That means I did also highlight them anywhere else by location, and now I have them also selected in the data table. Now, Ryan, I can come in and say, I want to deselect everyone that wears classes from that subsample. And I can use select by attribute to make that statement. Because now I can discriminate or support every student and say, I don't like classes. Taking out. I don't like everyone who is wearing a black t-shirt today. Out. But again, it's the sum of my location, 50 feet, and other selection clauses I want to deal with. Okay? So imagine the combination powers you have with these two tools across layers and within layers. That's the best way to consider that. If I think about selection by location, I can do this across different layers. Let's say my location versus the computers, a school versus green parks. Yeah? If I do select by attribute, I'm within that one layer. The data we geocoded, we only had that data we geocoded in the examples and in the midterms. We didn't have 5 other layers we compared and worked with. We only had that one. And within the geocoded addresses, select that city, unselect the other thing. All right? Do you think you got that concept down? The two tools? Select by location, across layers based on the relationship in space. And we can express that in GIS. Select by attribute is within that layer because you drill down into that table. You drill down as excessive you want. All right? Good. Then there's a function to make life a little bit complicated, the so-called near function, which we skip, but I need to point that out that this exists. So you can actually have different locations with each other as a combination. Huh? Then I want to show you a tool called Clip. Some of you, like Angelo, experience some issues with data management. Oh, nicely put. Oh? Meaning, you don't need to have all parcels of Broward County if you're just looking at the project for Cooper City. Why would I have Lauderdale by the Sea in your mapping project if you're only interested in something like Cooper City or Davie or Dania Beach? So I can select all Dania Beach through a table select statement and then export them. Or I could use the clip tool, which is, laugh it or not, it's Christmas time, it's called the cookie cutter. Yeah? Which cookie cuts like a chop knife everything that is close by.
You can set your boundaries with a custom polygon.
Yes. I can define an area of my interest and then use that as a cookie cutter, chop X, and go through all the data. Please note that whatever I chop off, like this, if I have leftovers with that cookie cutter, it's the important part. Yes, too much. If I have a street as an example, street segment, and this whole thing says in the table, if you do a table, length is 1 mile, because this is 1 mile measured, and you come and say, hey, I'm going to do a cookie cutter thing and cut this off here. Table doesn't update unless you have been smart and use a database and other tools. This now here, still 1 mile, but just cut off. So, depending on your data you're gonna use, if this is visualization, nobody cares because it looks beautiful on the right, it's clean. If you want to calculate, let's say, bike paths within a city and you cut this off and you do not update this to actually like 0.75 miles and this is 0.25, then you have a problem. And if you read bicycle studies, sometimes they did that. This is a small technical detail, but depending on what you want to do, if you use a cookie cutter and you want to do measures, you need to adjust for that. Or at least say very loud that you are aware of the problem. Works like here with polygons as well. If you have a polygon and it says 1 acre, and you use a buffer, and you use the buffer because you create a buffer, and then you use the buffer as a cutter. You cut all this out. This area now is 1 acre. Because the database did not get told, hey, update me. If you are doing it in the setup Bro is giving you by standard, it should update. If you're using an older system, it doesn't. If you're using something like a shapefile, and we have Remember, we did import shapefiles. Yeah? This is one of the biggest issues when you deal with area and measurements.
That's what you get from like the Department of Revenue. Aren't those shapefiles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So clip, cookie cutter. Cut it off like a chop knife. Clip problems. Perfect. Gotta have that here too. Yeah. Buildings can cross boundaries. You suddenly have half a building. Looks like a Star Wars movie, like where they cut through the whole building. Yeah. Or streets can cross boundaries. Clipping can issue geocoding, all that. There's this little tangle here. You can see how they cross over. Huh? Again, this is a little bit more detailed stuff, but it can happen. Particularly here in the cases FEMA flood zones and buildings as an example. We did the data management and data preparation the wrong way, and your house is not anymore in a flood zone, no more anymore allowed to be funded in terms of a catastrophe. So very, very problematic, so be careful with that. All right, then we had this in the buffers, but it's also a great tool, and I think I presented it very early in the class, the function dissolve. Geoprocessing tool dissolve. So if I have this table and all my states are in the table organized into sub-regions, I can use the function dissolve, remember the egg white in buffers, to move that into other regions. Let's say it like this. If I have, let's say, want to present some vacancy across those regions, I would not display that by state necessarily. I can aggregate with dissolve, and now I have the larger regions to show my patterns. If this is part of my storytelling. If I'm only interested in Vermont, I don't care about the mountain region. I will zoom into Vermont and focus on New England in that area, okay? Small little tools. And the best way again is to think how you start cooking things in your kitchen. Because let's say this dissolve stuff is like the sprinkles on your muffins. You still need to deal with the muffins. A cookie cutter for the muffins might be not the best way, but the sprinkles or the candy sugar on top. Okay? Speaking of muffins, someone brought in donut holes, munchkins. Eat them, don't waste food.
Bring those over here.
Bring this over here? Really?
Take more.
Students' evaluation will say, Professor carries donuts all the time in class. Here, pass them on.
Grab one, grab one. Very good. Now.
I am not pointing out that this is a computer lab and you should consider this, okay? All right, now tool. This is a little bit more detailed. This is more interesting for those who are dealing with more larger data sets. Yeah? There's a tool called intersect. Where did we hear intersect before? If I do select by location, intersect is the function of it. Yeah? So I can run intersect by itself. I apologize for the bad coloring here. It's like blue and red, and you have different types of buildings here and zones. But you literally say intersect means whatever it touches, it's included. Yeah? Let's give you this idea in a sketch. If you don't understand how GIS works, take a pen and a paper and sketch the relationship. Yes, please.
Can you leave that up while you sketch?
No.
Thank you.
Are you going to die on me back there? Wait. I'm CPR trained, you know that. Intersect. Think about this. If I don't understand this, I will look up one thing. I take the help. F1 is your friend. I'm not really impressed with the help function in Pro. They have been way better in the old school software. In most cases, open up the old school software and go for that same function. Not all the tools are the same names. Miriam and I found that out. the grouping analysis. Now it's called what? Classification density or clusters? Yeah. So intersect. If I have a polygon, can you see that in the back? Woody, can you see that? If I have a polygon and I have a street, if I use the tool intersect, this will give me 0 results. All right? Why? Why is the red line not working with intersect?
Nothing intersects, nothing overlaps.
Nothing intersects with that square. No? All right. If I have a street that goes like this, yeah, definitely intersects. If I have a street like this, all right, guys, think about this. This is a plane. This is that square on the board right now is something like this. You only see the black outline. What you don't see on the white board is the white fill or the green lead paper.
Yes, it intersects a polygon. But
It does intersect. I also could say select by the location if it's completely within. If I use the selection completely within, this road is being selected. That road that goes through is not, unless that road has connection points and this section is a standalone. Because not always a line on the screen does not mean it's just one line. It could be hundreds of little segments. All right, let's do something different. What about this one here? Will that one get selected if I say here, this is my square? Select. Why is it? Why does it get selected?
Because it meets what your quadrant.
It meets at least with one touch. There's also a selection clause that calls touch the boundaries or something like that. That is an intersect. To me, it's in a different way. You put your pinky toe in your neighbor's pool. You can suck that pool empty with that toe because you physically intersect with that pool. And therefore, can you drink the pool empty? Yeah, you can. Huh? It's an old school joke with the pinky toe from something else, but yeah, you can do that. So if you can't remember these sketches, intersect function means you put the pinky or big toe might be easier to put down. You put your toe into a pool, like a competition pool we have here in the backyard of the university. You suck 1.5 million gallons empty because you have one toenail in there. You don't have to be coming in with heavy hardware. Okay? That's the easiest way to understand that. Or if you're friends with your neighbor, just put the finger on your neighbor's shoulder. Are you really friends?
don't do that, no.
I did not want to encourage misbehaviors. I said, if you're friends, that is an intersect. You don't have to hug the person. The intersect happens with just a fingertip on the shoulder. Ding! You're selected. It's like blink tag. All right? The idea of these short slides right now is, if you haven't done that so, there are so many little tools. We will not be able to cover them all. We gotta be really curious with something and say, what's behind this? I don't know what that tool means. Click on it, read the description, go to the help function. Why? Because there will be maybe sometime a moment where you try to find a problem for plain English. Oh, I want to do X, Y, Z. How am I going to do that? Wait, that is, I remember, a help function of a tool. What was that tool? That is the advantage you will have over everyone else. that you understand there are a bunch of tools in your toolkits, in your garage, in your workshop, that you might not need every day. But knowing that you have it and you can use it at some time is really helpful. Remember the Mythbusters? Yeah, the guys who try to figure out a few things and how things work. What was their line at the end if something never really worked?
Don't try this at home.
Plausible.
Busted.
When in doubt, C4. Yeah? It was when in doubt in C4. They always ended up blowing up something at the end for fun. Yeah? So that doesn't mean you have to blow up things, but you should know that C4, plastic explosives, could be a tool you can use. Don't need, that means that you need to use it, yeah? But just knowing that somewhere in your workshop, in your tools, is some explosive, or a screwdriver, or a sledgehammer. All the 5-pound hammer versus the 50-pound. All right. Do you want to hear more? Let's do the 3D stuff. So we're done with all the theory and we just play tools. All right. Why are you looking different now? Oh, yeah, now you're gone. Even better. Let's try this again. All right. All right. So with Art Bros, a lot of things have changed. Yeah. And the idea is they actually have been able now to put this into the new hardware system. This is for everyone, the 64-bit part. And they really, really streamlined the software behind it. Not really hiccups. You have the connection now to the portals. You can upload, download data on your accounts. Yeah, you can share. And then here for the geeks in design, we now have shadow modeling and web scene integration. So you can build this on your computer and you shoot it up into the web. All right, that also, you don't have to type craziness right now. Just remember, this is a really cool tool. So, on the next few slides, 18 total, I'm going to show you what might take you like a half a day or day, if not longer. And I'll show you, like, one of the examples we're going to use is a small example here from campus. I did using this stuff. Yeah. So, common ArcGIS 3D functions, a tin, cool. The most famous application for you guys you might have seen in the past 10, 15 years for tins is dinosaurs in the movies. When they did the first Jurassic Park, they did all this high-tech documentation talk where they started with a regular dinosaur and they put more mesh on them. Every time you see computer animations and they say put mesh on it, like the Golem thing and other technology, yeah, a mesh is somewhat like a tin. I say is somewhat like a tin, but it's the best way to visualize it. What you have seen in the documentation about the dinosaurs of Jurassic Park and all the texture they put up on the skin, every part of the texture and the skin turned into like a mesh of little 3D triangles. And the better, the finer that mesh is, the better the resolution, but also the computing powers you need. The most perfect mesh of a tin would be a pyramid. Yeah, think about that. That's the most basic version of it. Triangle versus triangle versus triangle versus triangle. Something like that. All right. Then, back in the days we didn't do that, but now you can actually create and edit 3D features. That means if you look at the 3D model of a bunch of houses, you can 3D edit them. Meaning you can lift them, shift them, move them, drop them. It's not anymore a 2D top-down approach. You can rotate them, you can flip them. Then we're using LiDAR. LiDAR is light detection area range. Next few slides will explain that. Think about that. You have an airplane not taking a photograph anymore. You have an airplane shooting laser beams on the ground. And every beam that comes back and is counted in its return time. Like this, shoot at the wall, and it will know exactly how far that was.
That's a sonar.
But it's light-based, not sound-based. Yeah? It's a laser. It's literally shooting a laser. Yeah? Depends on the laser what you want to do. For marine LiDAR, you're using different lasers because of the different wavelengths. You can't do red dot laser in salt water and water in channel. Why? Because the deeper you go, the spectrum of sunlight is broken apart. Yeah? At 100 feet, your red doesn't look red anymore. That's the reason why you get if you have friends that dive, you don't put a red filter on their camera. They dive 60 feet depth and everything is green and dark blue. More like a sluggish green. Yeah? If you have a camera light, beam, and or red filter, you get these wonderful coral pictures. Everyone's like, ooh, National Geographic at home. No. Alright? So laser beam gets returned, system recognizes that, and the system is starting now, you have to compute that. You get a so-called point cloud back. Yeah? So this building looks like a bunch of point clouds. Yeah? And then later on, City Engine. Let's talk about this. Before we go there, we have two major tools in the 3D world in Pro. You might have seen that in ArcGIS Online as well. I apologize for this miserable projector. That's such a brilliant picture on the slide. Now, global scenes. Speaking of the word global, of course it's large. Versus the local scene, that's what I would recommend to you guys. It's small, compact, and the stuff we are doing in class, or you might do in this whole program, play with local scenes, makes your life easier. You don't need to deal with the whole beaches of Florida if you want to only play in a sandbox. Keep it simple. So these are the two things you can select. We are doing local scenes in this class. Then the cool part is you can digitize features on the surface. Remember digitizing? The terrible moment where we try to digitize cars in a parking lot? Well, today we're moving trees. Because every point on that scene is a location you digitize and you put a tree on it as a symbology. Imagine that you suddenly have your urban plan project for site planning and you put palm trees on it. Ooh. And we're doing digitizing in the online world today as well. Just because A, it's fun, and B, you need to see it's similar painful, but a little bit more cool than in ArcPro. Because some of the data management in the backside, like find your project folder, connect to that folder, is not a necessary thing. You just say, create this, have it in my content, and don't worry about it. Or you create this in a folder you really want to do and use in your bucket and online. So now you're in the same data management level. Yes, please.
So in the local scenes, does it take elevation into account?
Yep. Because you're putting everything on a tin and the surface.
Slope instead of fluid?
If you set it up the way, what we're going to see is topography. So it will put up automatically topography and some based on elevation. This guy is he's like a 6-year-old in a candy store right now, completely smiling. All right, so then the thing we are not going to get into in depth in this class. This is the only way I'm going to expose you. Maybe next week I show you 1 or 2 models, how this works. Or you really want to know about it in the break when we do a break today, Google REE City Engine Paris. Find a YouTube video. It's mind-blowing. That's like 10 years ago. It's mind-blowing. I literally called up Esri and said, I want that. So, all this, tables. So why not to model in 3D something we have used before showing in 2D? Why not to say, if I have a zoning code of RES or residential, and I show it as yellow in my map, in my 2D map on my parcel, versus, let's say, blue for office space. Where does the map get information? It gets it from the table. Huh? Blue and red. Okay. What about telling the 3D model, you building, you have balconies, or you are going to be an L-shaped building, or I don't like you in 30 floors, I'm going to put you down to 15 floors. In Google SketchUp, what are you going to do if you want to reduce the building height of the building? Go back in edit mode and cut that whole thing off. Here, I change one number, and it renders on the fly, in real time. The moment the table refreshes and the screen refreshes, the new thing is out. Angelo's like, true. Yes. Okay. So that means in real-time procedures, as an example, I could use now here the type of the tree to stay on the trees right now, and have them measured and set up based on their type from the table. So it's not just point location and I select a fir tree. I can go into all the other variations of trees I have in my database. If I know that, I can write that in my table and say you are a fir tree and you are a birch. Yeah? I'm not an urban tree specialist, so Douglas fir or redwood, as an example. All right, let's talk a little bit more lighter. Because in real estate development, you might actually get exposed to that with the survey crew to some extent. Yeah? Or if you are dealing the brokerage side, it's more and more common that you actually have those flybys and fly-throughs, where you can see suddenly now, hey, this looks like a new office space, or this is the existing office space. Something like this could be done in LiDAR. There are two major ideas. You have a laser beam that is counted for the return. You have that so-called sensor put on an airplane. You can put that on a tripod. You can put that on a drone. In the mining industry, they put that on drones. Drones that are as big as my table. Because those LiDAR sensors are not very light. They lift a few pounds, weigh a few pounds. All right, but again, the idea is you're going somewhere with your sensor and you shoot all over the place laser beams. If you put this on a tripod, on a standalone land base, it even takes a 24 color full color picture. So it knows exactly what's the color code of the laser beam return. Because some overlays are done, all that. That means it's not just anymore the distance of the return, it also knows, oh, these are all the objects based on the overlay of the picture. You color all the computers black. Because they're in the picture black. Alright, that all said, this is an example how you do that. You have the exact location, and no, this is not the ocean. This is a park bench. You're going to scan all this, in this case flying over. You scan all this, and it looks like a park bench. This could be actually a structure. And you can see here, this is a regular vegetation, bushes and trees, and you can see here how they return. And you can see what kind of profile you have here, different things, different elevation. Millions of points. So you can't calculate it with your financial calculator from my dear colleagues class. You're gonna have some more intense computing power, and depending on how you want to deal with the resolution, how you want to deal with the outcome, how accurate you want to be, there are ways to shortcut or not. AKA, put that on a computer and come back in a few days, depending on your computing power. So if you do that, you get certain ground returns, first returns, not bothering you with technology here. The idea is to understand, shoot a laser, you get the return, you gotta go through the data mill and do all that, yeah? And then you realize, okay, fine, you already can see, okay, there is something going on with buildings, huh? This is a pattern downtown Pittsburgh. You can see the bridges coming. You also can see that some of the parts of the bridges are not completely perfect. Huh? Or here, this is a water body, but you suddenly have here ripples. Why? Maybe wind, maybe boats. Yeah? The bridge, you fly over, the bridge did reflect in a different way, you have losses. It's not perfect, but it's darn good. Then you do this, you put your building footprints on top, because that's the data you really know about. You get that from the planning department or your engineers. Yeah? And you have the point clouds sitting here, you put the buildings on top, use a function that's called random points, and you basically say, in all the buildings, add, let's say, 30 random points all over the place. We had random points in the beginning, remember, when you talked about mapping? No? So I say, here, a building of this library, give me 30 points, bing, 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 bing. And then I use some functions, like the near to point, and say, find me the next point from the data cloud to my random point. Merge them, do some algorithms, and give me pretty much, assume this is a flat roof, for visualization purposes, okay. Out of the 30 points, give me the average of all the measures you found on the 30 points for that roof of the building here. Huh? If you do that, this is the point clouds. You can see this is the return on the top. There's no return on the side because it doesn't reflect. You only get the stuff that reflects back to the airplane. Huh? Same here. Really cool models with the roof, the slope of the roof, but you don't really see the sides in the grayed out area. However, you get actually a 3D model and they say, I have the building footprint and I have my measured height. And that's what we did in the beginning when we did digitizing, remember? We digitized some buildings and then we just said, okay, those are 30 feet high. LiDAR gives you the real world elevation of that building as a proxy in case you do not have a measurement tape. Or you don't have the architectural height of that building. Perfect world, you get the AutoCAD file from the architect. If you only know, okay, oh, there's a building, it's like, draw the buildings, because you have no contact with the planning department or the GIS people, you draw the buildings, you found LiDAR data, you can build your 3D model in an area which has no GIS department support. Your friend from geography who flew this in a research project in Puerto Rico. If he has LiDAR data for vegetation, you can use that fairly easily to manipulate and even find buildings. They actually do that once in a while. They find that topography. This is so accurate that they're using this for tectonic changes, let's say in landslides. See if a mountain is moving by 10 centimeters, which is like what, 4 inches? Over a certain time. I said mining industry. If you're off by a few inches in mining, this can be multiple $1 million in cost or revenue. Same thing like you clip sugarcane here. If you talk to the guys from US Sugar, they are doing this GPS controlled, automated harvesting. And they need to know what's the optimal height to clip and cut the sugarcane. Because if they clip too high, they leave sugar on the field. That's a loss. If they clip too deep, they clip too much dirt, which is a cost in cleaning and machinery. So it's all about measure the right way and then optimize your system. There was a question.
Yeah, how much does it cost you to plan to fly over and use LiDAR? Any experience with that? 50,000? 100,000?
About that, yep. You basically run this by the square foot or square mile. Technically,
Depends on how you ask the question too.
What?
no, you say this is the area we're interested in, and then you go through a catalog of resolutions and bands, how in depth that needs to get done. Yeah? And you say, okay, fine, how much do you want? It's not like how much does it cost to go to McDonald's.
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
You say I'm going to McDonald's and I have 7 people. I need 3 Big Macs and 2 Cokes for each. Yeah? And then you will know what's going on. If you do that for 200 people, it's scalable. There is a different tendency now in the industry with that, but it was in the past fairly expensive. Complete coverages of LiDAR areas, too expensive. Usually what you see is for natural habitat preservation, they would do that. Riversides, water conservation would do LiDAR because they want to see what's going on in the rivers. A lot of DHS work is done with LiDAR because you want to see what's going on in terms of tectonics and change. It comes more and more into the 3D world as well. But if you take a look at what is available for LiDAR data sets in municipalities, because technically if it's publicly funded, at some point of time it needs to be out there for you as the public to download it. If you take a look at that, you realize, hey, the technology is X years old, but in the last 10 years, there are only like 2 data sets available. And in the last 3 years, every year for a specific area. It's cost intensive. It's also cost intensive in terms of computing powers in the back. I cannot compute, I still want to do it, but it took a while for the campus data. Because the campus, plus minus a mile around, it took a while on my machine in my office. Everyone's drooling about that one. Can't do crowd count, could, but start now, come back in Christmas. It takes dedicated server time to do that. Remember, the little things we show you, let's say campus, that was like a 5 million points. I only draw like 30 for each building, but you have the gaps in between the buildings, which are still calculated as well. So it's a little bit complicated. All right, I want to use the last few moments here on showing a little bit on City Engine. It came out a few years ago. Procedural or rule-based, they changed the name on that even. It used to be rule-based, now it's procedural. Rule-based modeling, and really the cool part is you can see this with 2 screenshots. I have a building footprint, and I have a data table that tells the rules how this building will react if I change the footprint or elements inside. I think we will take a break and I'll show you that video on that. It's mind-blowing. As an example, as I think from the this is I think chapter number 9 from the 3D chapter, the screenshot. You can move this whole building here. That's the steel company in Pittsburgh. But you also can see that there are different ways of building direction and how many floors, and you can change the glazing on that based on 1 or 2 rules changed. Same building, just changing the data table and the rules behind it. It will change it automatically for you on the screen. The cool part of the City Engine is they understand at some point of time you can't see farther out into the horizon. So they don't model the buildings that are 10 miles away. They only model the buildings that are in visible range. So you can have 10 miles of buildings, but if your view is only a mile, that saves computing time. So I don't model the bridges on 17th Street when I'm standing here on campus. So they did a lot of things on how to deal with this computing time, to make it also mainstream and more adaptable for folks in the outside of the high-tech rendering industry.
So did they use linear perspective and build like an algorithm model?
It's good stuff. It's really good stuff. We did touch this. I wanted to show you guys this again here as a slide. Remember, we did the small digitizing experience and moved into 3D, and I just took a snapshot. I moved the camera or the scene again, took a snapshot, moved again, took a snapshot. We actually have in the animation tools, we actually have the idea that we can show the path, where we're going, how we're going, and where the so-called snapshot or keyframe is located if we want to fly into the model. Huh? Just a hint, you guys are doing presentations in 2 weeks, huh? Site planning and or other classes. If you're doing something that enables 3D, site planning is obviously the case. This can be very quick, fairly fun, easy done. You can embed an animation or a video inside a PowerPoint, so you can transport it on a chunk drive if needed. Huh? If you don't want to use this in a GIS class or in a site planning class, it is a really, really easy way to do if you're playing with footprints on or building alignments, site plan on a project for other classes or your work. Everyone will understand the idea of that squared block is gonna be a building. Yeah? But a squared 3D block in red to show this is where you demolish, and in blue this is where you're going to build. It's a different visualization than we're tearing this building down and we're keeping this. Think about that. There's some trade-offs. You've got to put some time into that visualization, but there are benefits for it. Right? That's it. There's web scenes. This is the Philadelphia remodeling example. You can actually Google that if you want to. This is done, used to be done in City Engine. Now you can link that into Pro as well. This is a remodeling area where they presented something in Philadelphia to remodel a building, and you can do that with procedural and rules. On the fly, you can drop that building from a square to an L-shaped footprint. It will change it. You can take the whole intersection and drag and drop it, and the buildings around will be re-rendered. All right, good. That's about the theory. What we're going to do, we're going to take a 5-minute break. All right, so you can stretch your legs, reflect what we heard about the tools, and we come back and set up those tools. And I'm going to pull one video on City Engine just to tell you guys, this is something you have to spend Christmas break on just a few minutes. Don't pass out, okay?
No, I got a question. So,
No, he went to New York.
Okay, so let's do a few things. I want to show you like 2 small videos, maybe 3, actually 2 videos. When we talk about City Engine and how cool this is going to be. Yeah? Again, this is the top-notch part. We are not there yet, but I think it's important that you understand what are the possibilities out there. Take a look at that. Audio might, because I'm screen recording this, might be just my laptop. So what I did in this example, I just Googled REE City Engine Paris. And this was like, I think 2011 or something. They came up with this. This is a full rendering done, animation done in GIS. This is rule-based work.
Wow.
Yeah. This is the trailer. Look, this is a 3D editing session. You change the whole scenery with one mouse click, and the rules behind and the tables behind will adapt to the setting. This is digitizing. This is different digitizing than we did. This is an example here on the tables. You change the offset width of the buildings. It changes. This changes now the balconies and the facade. Everyone who said this is cool, this is multiple hours of data set up behind the scenes, if not days. You can see on the left all the old school procedural rules they set up in the beginning. Well, this is Rotterdam. Office building, see, even with the floors modeled inside. Shades, animation, hypothetical crazy buildings. This is an example you can find. This is a medieval city they built, and you can see how that builds up while you rotate. This is a futuristic city. It's like Blade Runner. Now, this looks more like Blade Runner than Tron. It's a generational perception
I
problem.
haven't seen Blade Runner.
Wait.
Welcome to the medieval city example.
Actually, it's
This example shows a
Alright,
set
this
of
is a new
rules.
video, we don't need that. Alright, so how can you use this? Well, I told you about the city of Philadelphia. I found this one, just Googling quickly, because I don't have the tool installed. This appears to be someone who rendered this when the Pope came to visit. Let me jump a little bit ahead. Can you see the richness of detail you could model? Yeah, but this is an animation from a 3D model. This is rendered. Yeah? How does this work indirectly in the concept of Philadelphia? Well, you can export this. This was one of the last slides. You could export that as a web scene. So this is the Philadelphia redevelopment example they put out in 3D. You can zoom in and render closer. You can see that there are certain textures. The trees are cool because the trees are actually not volume, they just appear. See that, those cuts? They just appear as different. Now I'm below the city. I have screenshots here. So it moves into the view of the highway. Or different flyover into the square. But the cool part again is if I move out, I have all these tools on the side. If I, let's say, select the building in question, if it would work the way I want, I can change here all the different environments. I don't know. I read through it and I decided I'm not going to do things like this. But I keep telling you guys, this is literature you need. This is the example this is the building in question. Now, in City Engine, if you click on the table of this building, you can see here floor area ratio, the GFA for office, residential, and all that. You could change that, and it will render on the fly. Yeah. So I got a license for City Engine recently, I think. Yeah. So I can see if I can find that model again, just for demonstration purposes. Do I need that in a regular daily basis as a real estate developer? Probably not. Do I need to know that this exists and I have a smart intern invest a week of time in modeling it? Maybe. Or do I need to know that this tool exists and I can come in to the guys who are doing renderings and visualization for me and say, have you seen this tool? I want that in the contract. That's the difference. You don't have to be super high-tech gurus and geeks to understand GIS. You need to know what GIS can do so you can talk in your team how to do things. I don't think Woody will do GIS on a daily basis, but he probably has one or two people who are doing it regularly, and he says, this is the capacity of the potential that we can do. So don't fool me, I know this tool exists and works. And then your intern is like, oops, yeah, he knows. Question?
When Professor Stiles does their, they go through zoning hearings and, this sells your whole product.
Stiles has a whole visualization team. They are doing this in an even more extreme way. They are going to put a laser measurement machine on every floor they built. Every cable, every pipe in the floor setup, in the floor slab, is measured. They know exactly where's what. They're doing the so-called as-is survey while they're building a building. Every floor is separately measured. So if they need to change floor plans later on, they literally come in with a laser measurement tape. Measure here, measure to the left, to the right, and they know exactly down under us, maybe with an inch to the left or to the right, is that type of pipe or that kind of reinforcement. So you don't deal with the integrity of the building. So lots of things have changed. Again, they have a whole visualization studio. They're doing some GIS, but they're doing more architectural software because you're straight into that construction mode. Yeah? I don't model here the cost of the windows. I need to do that in a different way. But for visualization, this is really cool. And this one, remind yourself, this is a web scene. So if you have the web address, the URL for this, and a browser that does rendering like this, anywhere in the world, I can tell you, hey, this is the new project we have. These are the interesting ideas we have. Here are the side notes. Yeah? The comments you can put up for a specific time. This is a building shade at 10 a.m. So this explains the new building type here at 10 a.m. regular time. This is where the shadow is going to be dropped. Small little things. All right. There's a lot to play with. All right. Cool. Speaking of playing, what we're gonna do is we're gonna close all that. We're going to set up some data. Where do we find data? Well, we find data at our Canvas page. Yeah. So now I need you to work on your computers. Listening time is over. All right. I'll log in. Again, my screen will look a little bit different. I can go in student view, so now it will look like yours. In the GIS class, we go into modules. And I did add 2 more pieces. All right. Let me double check one thing. So, what I'm going to do is now, since we're playing with like 3 different pieces in this lecture, I'm going to download all of the stuff I think I need. Yeah? And I just let it sit and then work my step by step through this. All right. Things I need. If I haven't downloaded that yet, I did click on geocoding zip and download that. Again, every computer looks a little bit different. Mine pops up immediately. I don't want that. I want to just say save as. So it goes into my downloads. I just want to make sure that it goes into downloads. Just keep it simple. It's already there. See that? All right. I do the same thing. Wait. I do the same thing here with the other data. The 3D font. I click on it. I download. Takes a moment. Is it in my download file? Yeah. See, geocoding session 3D font. My computer is just set up. At the moment I download a zip file, it pops automatically open. On yours, it might pop up with the WinZip or 7-zip file. But the important part is, right now, if I look at my downloads, I have the geocoding session, I have the 3D font. Okay? And last but not least, I go back and I'm going to grab the parcels gdb.zip and to download that too. And it pops up. All right? And then we can minimize that in a moment. All right, so we're a little bit flexible. We're good in time. What do you guys want to do first? 3D. Change to page number 4. All right, we're done the lecture. We did download the data. All right? Everyone has downloaded those 3 zip files. All right, everyone knows that those 3 zip files are now in your download folder. All right? All right, we gotta do some data management, keep the people together. All right, perfect. So, what's the next thing we do?
File folder connection.
Extract.
We usually extract and we extract somewhere, okay? All right, why don't we start simple and just open up a project and place it in a folder that's called, let's say, 3D font or something like that, okay? And then we can swap data around, because right now what we're going to do is we're going to get data we have never seen before. We're going to investigate that, and we have to deal and manage with that. Huh? It's like at the TSA, they don't know you, You're going to put your shoes up, you're going to put your laptop in the bag up, and then they go and scan you. And then you're allowed to fly. Okay? We're going to do the same thing. So I'm opening up a second window here with Windows key E for Windows Explorer, or I click down here at the bottom the Windows File Explorer. Yeah? I am going to find my C drive, and I'm going to call a new folder. Of course, I need to rename the folder. Wait. I played with that last night. Look, like just about midnight. All right, let's call that folder 3D Fun. Excuse me. 3D_fun. I don't like file names with spaces. Reads why? Because if you do serious work from the back door on your computer live, spaces mess up path settings. Underscore, or write it in one word. Because if you, Alana, if you deal with, say, with scripts and your work processes on a script level, so command base as we call, like type in, do that rather than clicking it, every space is different, every quotation sign is different, parentheses and all brackets are different, so you gotta stay with some syntax. Alright, so we have 3D Fun, okay? Let's double check one thing. Let me double check one thing. We already have a folder 3D Fun here. Yeah, we gotta change this. Alright, so very slow. In a perfect world, guys, let me demonstrate this on my computer. I know you have a different zip tool, so we're going to change that. Yeah, and I will be able to come around and help you. In a perfect world, if I double click on my 3D Fun zip file, it shows me what's inside. Now I have a 3D Fun folder. Lazy me, I didn't remember, so if I would have the C file, a C folder, I just would drag and drop that over. But I did already name a C 3D Fun here. That said, I double click again here into that, go down one level deeper into the rabbit hole. And then I select everything here with Shift and drag and drop that over. Copy. Okay, if you're using the WinZip tools on these lab machines, you might have to double click and into that rabbit hole a little bit different. Anyone using the lab machines software, are you able to see this kind of level and information?
Yeah.
Who does not see? I can help. Hello?
I don't see that, but it's just the other one. It's the one with the little Z's, but I can figure it out. We just extract it to the.
All right, let's give it a moment and we'll check. Yeah, you need that. Stop watching football. It's called. I don't care. I kick you out next time. Yeah, that looks okay. I'll just sit here. Nice right there. You guys are doing okay with this? We got to rearrange that a little bit, so it's just a mess because
Actually, I feel like the road trip is more traffic because
Let's keep it simple. So set points. So you see this, you double click on this one. And you take all these and put them into the oh, let me help you. All you can do is just like this. This is the one. You also can say. Okay. That looks good. Yeah, but you will see something different, so there might be some issues with it. We'll show you. Okay. So, remember when I said you gotta be curious about things? Alright, let's get rid of this one. You need to be curious about a few things. What do you see right now in here who you haven't seen yet? Nobody asked me, hey, what's that button? What does this UP map 2 means? I clicked on it. What did happen? Well, let me click on it. If you click on it, 1061 pops up. Not Pro. Remember, the textbook tells you you get an ArcGIS desktop license and Pro license. You get 2 Christmases in one. Wait. This is about the software, not about the data right now. Alright? I want to use this example to show you that there is a different software suite there you can use and practice. You need to be aware of, because if you walk into a computer shop, guys, if you walk into a computer shop and they're using GIS, they might use this one right now in front of you. And you are training on Bro. You're training on the stuff that is market next year, or now pushing into the market. To give you an idea, this stuff right now you're looking at, the software, not the tools, not this. Let's get rid. This stuff is when we talk ArcGIS. This is when people say, yeah, we have GIS at our office. And you ask them, hey, what's your version? And they're like, yeah, we have 931. Yeah, that's 10 years old. Huh? So, the textbook has changed last November. They moved from screenshots and explanations in this format to this. So look, all this here, remember those ribbons in ArcGIS Pro? Well, if I want to edit something, I open up the editor toolbar. This is my editor toolbar in ArcGIS 10.6. If I would do just this, yeah. This is my toolbar now. Yeah, I'm the wrong user. Let me log out. So, if I look here again, it looks similar to what we have seen in Pro. On the side, I have a catalog, I have folder connections, I can connect with right click, connect to a folder. By the way, guys, are you watching golf too?
No, it's not. Well,
Doesn't pop up.
it's a pop-up, only one of us have it.
What's the pop-up?
The
Map.
map.
We'll have a blank, we're looking at.
I have all the layers, but there's a red exclamation mark.
Oh, if you happen, wait. If you, a blank screen is because I didn't want to show you guys the stuff. Yep. Little checkbox, enable visualization. Here's a catalog. It's in ArcMap, it's on the side. In ArcPro, it's a tab hidden. Yeah? So we can play around with this. I just wanted to show you, hey, there's a few things. In case you see a red explanation mark behind these layers, and this is grayed out, you're not looking at the right location. You're not looking at the right data location. So you would have to go to the source. We will show that in Pro again. This is just an info, guys. This is another package of software you have access to. And I can see here, this is my path. It's the 3D_fun and the fun GDB. GDB stands for Geodatabase. So if your buildings are not in that path right now, you will have a red explanation mark, data is missing. This is not breaking your leg. This is just, oops, I need to know where to find my data. All right, so you guys figured out we're doing something with Urban Plan, okay? In a minute. Let's X out on this. All right. If I want to look at all that, oh, I did keep that for you guys. Ooh, it's even more interesting. Yeah. So I had set up a folder. I put in my data. What's next? Open up a project. Huh? So if I kept that in here, let's make it complicated. I open up ArcPro. I log in as my student for this class. All right. And I'm going to open up a map project. And I call that 3D test. And as the folder where the project is going to be housed or hosted, I'm going to find my 3D fun. Okay? On my C drive, 3D fun. And click OK. And it's important that I keep that checkbox, create new folder for this project. Because my setup, the test setup, is already in there, and I don't want to mess up with both. All right? Everyone ready for that? You excited? Adriana is like, yeah, click it. Takes a moment. Okay, so typical setup, map, catalog. Let's take a look at the data we have, okay? I use catalog and go to folders. This is everything I have in my project. But tada, I remember I put everything in the other folder. So let's connect to the other folder. How do I do that? Right click as my friend. I right click here, I set folder connection, add folder connection. Go to my C drive, click a simple one click on the 3D fun folder and say OK. Now, I can rearrange a few things, don't need that. So I see my basic folder and my project. If I go my basic, I see a bunch of data sets, geodatabases. Everyone sees what I have on the screen right now.
Yes.
You guys see that? All right. you should see something that looks like a soda can, a database called Campus for Class, and then Fun. All right?
Are all those geodatabases in the MX, are those all inside of the fund setup?
Yep.
I have no way to show that. You have to go into it, and that's okay.
If you click into that, let's do Campus for Class first. All right? Investigate your data you get. If I double click here on the Campus for Class GDB, the file database, if I click on this, I'll see right now one only file geodatabase feature class. Tells me a few things inside. I can zoom over here to the preview, and it shows me a bunch of building footprints of campus. All right? This? That used to be the place with the shopping center. This is the area where the new hospital comes in. This is the, here, this one. This is the US Bank building. Bank of America building. Huh? Alright. So apparently this has to do something with building footprints on campus. Great. Yeah? You need to click down here on preview. Yeah? Metadata tells you what's going on. Preview, you can take a look at what do you see inside. Yeah? So that looks pretty sweet. Let's go up again and see what else do we have. Let's take a look at the Fun GDB. If I click into the Fun GDB, I can see buildings. Yeah? Pointy points as a layer. I see site plan large, UP Fishnet, and UP Grid. So the way I built this is I took the PDF file from the urban plan setup, did some manipulation with this PDF file, and basically I spatially enabled it so I can plot it in space. Happens that I put it straight up on top of campus or the city of Davie, so that's the reason why now you have 36th Street right now on the buildings, okay? And I use digitizing and other tools. There's a file here that's called Fishnet. What I did is I used the Fishnet function we know from session number 1 or 2. We've been exposed at least to talk about that, and created all these little grids. Oh, because what? We're playing with Duplos. They have this grid pattern where you can place them. So it helps you to associate that. If you look at the site plan, takes a moment, you see that there's this grid down there too. Yeah? So the Fishnet simulates that grid. I also said, okay, I have to do a grid itself, which simulates my blocks. Remember when I say GIS helps to slice and dice the real world into layers? That's what I did. And different selectable units I can work with. All right, pointy points. So this is good enough to check out the data. Why? I know this now is working. I know that there is some data inside. I didn't take a look at the tables yet. But I know, at least I see that there are objects in space. Particularly if you download shape files, old school stuff. Sometimes they are corrupted and they don't show that stuff. Huh? All right, so what is the next step? Besides saving it? Save. Well, why don't we add it to a map? How do we do that? Right click is your friend. So let's build this up from scratch. On the bottom, the plan, add to the map. The fishnet, add to the map. The grid, add to the map. The pointy points, add to the map. And then last but not least, the buildings. add to the map. Yeah? Or you could select with shift everything and just say add to the map. I'm glad I can hear that this is so cool because this is just a setup.
You're imagining it, no one's there.
Alright, so if the magic is cool, wait until we actually go in 3D. Alright, let's take a look at map. We're gonna clean up a little bit because right now this is in the middle of nowhere on campus and we know this is not the real world. So for performance issues and things, I'm going to deselect here the world topography and the hill shade. I'm getting rid of things I don't need, things that will disturb my view. Alright? Is the drawing order, let's move this out so it looks a little bit better, more than yours. Is the drawing order the way I want this to look like on the screen? No, it's not yet. I'm okay with the side plan at the bottom. The fishnet is a visualization aid. I would like to have that on top of the grid. Yeah? Maybe I want to have that as a see-through. Depending on your visualization ideas, yes, maybe you can change the symbology for that. If you want to change the symbology for that, keep that activated, go to appearance, change symbology, change here whatever you need. Single symbol might be nice. Change the color, let's say just black outline is good enough for me. Again, you can do this in 1,000 different ways. You gotta just figure out what is aesthetically pleasing you and what would be great for someone who wants to take a look at that. I put the grid up to help me to coordinate a few things. This is for management. This is not for fancy visualization. All right. Pointy points. Let's clean this up a little bit. Yeah. What are my pointy points? Well, if you don't know what it is, right click is your friend. I right click and say show attribute table. I have nothing in there but the description that this is a 0.5. I don't know if this is a electric meter, if this is a car, if this is a tree, if this is a park bench. I have zero description but its location, which is fine for the training purposes right now. If I want to change that, I add a field, aka an attribute, and call it color, and call it red, blue, and yellow, and I could color it by that. I could call it park bench versus tree, and we'll find symbology that displays park bench versus tree. Yes, please.
Where is the XY?
It's inside that shape. This here is coordinating your shape, your XY. That's your geometry. The physical object you see as a dot on the map right now is hold in that shape directly. You need to come to my office and I give you like 5 tons of books. You really want to dig into chapters deep work. And you don't have to worry about that. This is managed for you right now. All right? Well, while we're at it, let's take a look at on my screen. They appear pink, what means buildings. All right? Let's go to buildings, right click on it, and say attribute table. Be careful. Here are the pointy points. Guys, look at my screen. I have 2 tables open right now. The pointy points from the exercise just a minute ago, and now I'm looking at buildings. You gotta be careful with that. All right, if I look at my buildings, let's move up. Right now they're all like in a piglet pink on my screen, but I look at this and the table is actually populated. I see everything that manages my data, object ID and shape, but I also have a field that says name, height, stories or floors, and then something that is managed we don't really wonder about, shape and area and length.
Is that a parameter?
Yeah. In polygons, length is the parameter. All right. So I have names like YMCA, homeless shelter, Victorian, luxury condo, parking, and residential. Hey, this sounds like urban plan, does it? Huh? A little bit. But right now, everything looks the same color. How do I change that?
Click on it.
Click on it. Click on it. Could change that manually, one, or
Feature layer, symbology, unique values.
appearance, symbology, unique values. Meaning, whatever you have in the table, as in, let's say, luxury condo residential, oh, let's put the yellow on it. Yeah, I'm going to associate a value in my table with a visual representation, with a color. All right, so field name, add field, scales, click here, add my values. Right now, I take all of them with shift, yeah, and go back. It should be there now. Nope, gotta click on them. Add.
Should click on.
Yeah, it worked last night. Why ain't it working? Late night webs. Or you click here.
Just add some more for you.
If you add them all, click the all value button. On that note, it's coffee time. Okay. Fine. Do I want to have a pink colored homeless shelter? No. So I go in and say, let's change the properties. Yeah? Instead of picking something predefined, I'm going to click on properties. And this is the complex part, the complicated part. Setting this up step by step. So instead of pink, homeless shelter, let's do something bright orange. Right? Apply. Now this is my homeless shelter. So, luxury condo parking the same way. Click on it. And instead of using the gallery here, I'm going to click on properties. Gesundheit. Did you sneeze on each other right now? Behave. Yeah. So, luxury condo parking. What was the parking color code? Black. So, I'm going to take here appearance, fill as black. And hit apply. Alright. X out. Oops, here's a condo parking. Alright. I keep going for that and say luxury condo residential turns into yellow. Pick bright yellow. Hit apply. Alright. And I can keep going. I'm not going to do this for everything. You get the message. You got to set up those codes and save. All right. So the basic setup is done. I'm looking at this at 2D. I have this urban plan set up on the screen right now. Okay. Are we happy now? No, we are not. We are eager to learn more. I'm going to close those tables because I want to have more space on the screen for you guys for visualization purposes. Yeah. This is a 3D session. We're supposed to have fun in here. What I'm looking at right now is not even close to 3D yet. What do I need to do? Or what could I do?
Use the height and stories.
Use the height and stories. This is 1 or 2 steps too far. I would have to set up a local scene. Let's make a scene. How do I do a local scene? Well, I go back to map. Insert. And on here, remember, there are little arrows and you need to explore things. If wherever is a little arrow, there's things hidden underneath. Yeah? So here, new map. If I click on the arrow, it says new map, global scene, local scene, and all the other fancy stuff. Are you with me today, or are you just watching?
I'm with you.
All right. I'm going to click a new local scene. Takes a moment, creates a few things. Duh, it's not local, it's the United States, is it? Huh? That's okay, because right now we have no data loaded yet. That's the tricky part in Pro. Each of these sections here, those panes, are little mini projects in the big project. So just because you dealt with the map here, the scene you want to visualize isn't set up yet. How would I set this up? Very easy, quick and dirty.
Save the map and then open it up.
Well, I can save for sure. I could also go and say, go to the map, add data, and do all this, and drag and drop, and go to catalog and say add to blah blah. I've done that already. I even set my coloring codes already. So why don't I just take over, copy and paste what I've already done, and then rearrange in 3D? Okay, let's do that. So I go back to the map. And I like to have the pointy points, press string or control, buildings, and the site plan. Those three I want. I right click and say copy. All right. Then I go back to the scene, right click on scene and say paste. Like you would do a copy and paste in Windows from one folder to the other folder, from one Word document to the other Word document.
Pointy points and what else?
Pointy points, buildings, and site plan. Okay? If we have done that right, we should see, let's say, the black and the yellow on the bottom, which is our luxury condominiums. Okay, I now realize I'm in the middle of campus for a fictitious science fiction setup. So let's get rid of everything that looks like campus. Get rid of the ground, get rid of the topography. We don't need that. Yeah? Because our computer starts already getting slower and slower and slower with the data. Everyone is happy right now. You have those files, the layers over in the scene. You want me to repeat that? All right. I do this in a complete new one. All right. So to move all this from 2D into 3D setup, I'm going to go to Insert, New Scene, Local Scene. Okay. I go back to my map. I select my pointy points, my buildings, and my site plan large. And I'm using the control or string key on my keyboard to do that. Right click, copy those selected layers. If I do so, I select also the coloring code, symbology, everything. Do that, copy. Go back to my scene, and then here on the scene itself, I click right click and say paste. If it's well behaved, it will add that as so-called 2D layers because it doesn't know yet that we are doing 3D with it. And technically we are simulating 3D. It's not a real 3D layer yet. All right, then the next step is I clean up so I don't get messed around with overview loss. Or don't care about world elevation, don't care about topography, because I know this is a science fiction setup. All right? I will save my project. All right, cool. So now I'm in a different view, still not 3D. What else do I need to do? Well, if it's 3D, I can tilt it. So with shift and right click, I can tilt this whole thing. And I can move with my mouse wheel, I can move this in and out. All right? Oh, now it looks like 3D, huh? Does it? Not really, huh? It doesn't have any elevation, no other information. So, there are two things we have right now on that screen. We have points. We have seen in this short PowerPoint presentation, I can visualize those points as anything I want. I can put a 3D marker as a symbol for that point. So if that point is a bus stop, I can find a bus stop. Or if that point is a, let's say, a tree, let's add it as a tree. So if I go here to pointy points and the symbology for pointy points, go to properties, actually gallery. I have 2D stuff and I have 3D stuff. In case you haven't figured out, there's actually, it says 2D and 3Ds. I'm looking for a tree. This is not looking like a tree. Alright? So, next step is, if there is a tree somewhere, I can search for it, don't ya? So I'm going to look at all styles here and type in tree. Please note, I did not test that search function on your lab computer right now. So you might not get that result, but you should. If I type in tree and hit enter, it searches everything that's on my computer that shows vegetation for 3D trees. You guys found that? You don't have any trees? Alright, gotta. Alright, did you check on the 3D? Did you check the old styles here? Adriana? Did you check here all styles? All styles, guys. If you did not find a tree, let me show you how this works with project styles. If I try to find a tree, it doesn't work. I need to go and say all the styles available. All styles here on the bottom. And we are in Florida. Let's find a Florida tree. Let's do a coconut palm. Wow, I have coconut palms. Is it 3D? No. Why is it not 3D?
You're not in the right layer.
I'm not in the right layer.
Put them in the 2D layer.
I'm still in 2D layer. So why don't I just drag and drop this guy into the 3D layers? Let's search for it.
Oh, search.
Alright. If I click the palm tree and then change the symbology, let's do this. Change the symbology. And I find this. Let me repeat the symbology, guys. If I find a 2D, I click this out. I see not so happy 3D. Yeah? I can use the search function. But I need to make sure that I search for all styles. Project styles is only what's inside my project, not somewhere else. So all styles, find the tree. And I can pick anything I want right now. So instead of the coconut tree, I don't know. Let's take an umbrella. Alright? To have that in 3D, you need to make sure it's in the 3D layers. Does this look now like 3D? Let's see. Yep, that looks like 3D to me. But note, they are moving in and out because I didn't set any reference styles, any technical settings or not. For snapshot right now, For a snapshot right now, this is good enough. To open the door, how to do a bunch of 3D trees on your projects, this is good enough. Alright? You won't? Alright, let me help you guys. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to move it up into 3D. drag this whole thing into 3D.
No, pointy points.
Pointy points. Yeah? You guys are happy?
Can you give me the 3D,
If you set the symbology, take a look at the left side. Take a look at the left side of my screen. The left side of my screen has 3D layers and 2D layers. If you copy and paste the layers over from the other pane, it will pop in as a 2D layer. So even if you use a 3D symbol, it's still 2D visualization. So you need to drag and drop the pointy points from 2D layers up into 3D layers.
What happens if you do 3D, 2D? Right here.
Yes. Change them by symbology size, but you also can zoom in. We're not going to get into the size, that's how to change the symbology. Alright, you gotta be in the scene. So you change the symbology here. Go to style, moves into all styles, type in one.
Stop.
Yeah, check just click on the symbol.
This is what I'm.
Now you get the tree. You get the tree.
It's like I'm controlling.
Now you're still in 2D, you move it into 3D, and if you click down the shift button, shift, now I can Alright, you guys are happy? What?
I don't want that.
We're gonna move the trees into.
Do you need to get
Where are the trees? We're gonna move trees here. Yeah?
They grow.
but it's good for a second.
Now you're pointing. Now you can choose just a bit of trees. Yeah, and then they show up.
Because we just changed the color of the building. Would you copy and paste them to this?
Discover something.
Copy the little site plan. So you use and and then don't worry about it. You use this. Alright? Okay. So there are different ways to visualize the trees now and deal with them. I am not going into more details about how to size them. I encourage you guys, play with it, get frustrated, and get happy. That's the best way to learn this. Yeah? All right. So, what about those buildings? They're still not in 3D, are they? All right, what do I need to do to make a building footprint look 3D?
Go to symbology, type in building, and put on your 3D.
All right, if I do that, let's say this, like this, symbology, and type in building. Do not follow me right now. And I say, let's take a barn. I get a bunch of barns in the middle of the street. My pointy points turn now into a barn. This is a good idea, but it's not the way we do it. All right? But you can see, if you want to place bus stops now, this could be bus stops or shelters. Huh? You can place anything you want. You, in theory, because you're in 3D, in theory, you can set up the direction where it's supposed to face. If you want to do this in a really time-consuming way. I don't want to deal with pointy points right now. Yeah? I want to deal with those buildings. All right. Remember our digitizing session, the last 15 minutes of it? What did we do? We clicked on the buildings, and there was something about the extrusion of our building appearance. Extrusion is our hint. Now we could say the type of extrusion, and extrusion is a process of read the value I need to display as 3D elevation, the building height. Okay? So let's do absolute height. And now I need to say, how big is this gonna be? How tall? Where do I get the height function? Well, we did check the table, and we know that there is a field called height. Let's assume it's in feet. And it pops up. It also moved the buildings from 2D into 3D because I'm activated the 3D extrusion.
What height? Type? Absolute.
I used absolute height for this example. What you also can do is you can use base height from a field. Yeah? Or you can use this magic button here. This is the time when you need to understand that everything you can see is clickable and has options that will drive you nuts, desperately frustrate you, but also amaze you. You're at that learning curve now that you're done with the steep climbing up. You reach base camp. You can relax. You can have fun. You can play. Yeah? Play with it. So if I don't like the building height right now like this because of the elevation, all the numbers in there, I can also click on this expression builder and say, you know what, whatever comes in, type in times 1.25. I want to have the 25% higher than I showed it in the field. Do that, pops up a little bit higher. Why? Because if I do a 3D projection, I need to overscale my objects. Not too much, but 15 to 25% gives you a different dimension in the perspective. All right, but that's not why I'm so happy about all that. Let's save this. So, okay, fine, I have now my luxury condominiums, I have my YMCA and all the other stuff, and I can move this around, yeah? I don't like the height of my homeless shelter. How would I change the height of my homeless shelter? Edit my table. I right click on it, go to attribute table, go to homeless shelter, double click in it and say it's 50 feet high. And it pops up. I just changed my data in the background. Give me a moment. Let me finish this, please. Or to make this extreme so you actually see the physical change on your screen, I'm doing the homeless shelter not as 50, I'm doing it as 100. So you really see after taking a breath, this whole thing pops up. Yeah? Everyone's like, oh my God, this is crazy. All right, you think this is crazy? No, this is current status is calm and easy. You want to do crazy?
Yes. I have a question. So how come the buildings don't change size, but the trees do?
Because it's a different setup. The trees right now is visualization as in symbology, and the buildings are extruded based on features you get, information you get from the table. Wait. So, if I use my shift and my control key, and in particular the right mouse button, I can shift this around like we did before. You can see that there's some rendering issues here because what I did is I built the parking garage and I put the other building on top. That's fine. It doesn't have to be perfect. But you can see this is definitely something we have seen in our Lego Diplo blocks. All right, so what if I would don't like the position of the luxury condominiums. Hey, we can edit that, don't we? We learned in digitizing we can move things around. All right. Do I want to move that in 3D? No. Let's save this. Life can be easy. What are we doing all the time in land use planning? What are we doing when we put a site plan up? We scribble that stuff in 2D, paper and crayons. Your site plan in site plan sketch for the assignment 2, paper and crayons. You didn't scribble that in 3D, but Bruce. You just did that on easy. So where's the easy part? Well, in our map, this is the easy part. Still looks the same, does it? Pointy points and so if I zoom here, there's always the idea of I could edit things. And I click on buildings, just on buildings, and go up to the edit ribbon and click modify. All right. You guys are with me? Let's repeat this. I go back to my map, activate my buildings layer with a simple left click, find the ribbon that's called edit, and then say I click modify. What does this do is it opens an edit session where I can move, rotate, and do other things with my objects. And I do that in 2D on the base level, don't have to worry about anything else. To make my life easier, I have this option here that says list by selection. On your table of content, list by selection. I click on this, and now everything that is checked with the checkbox on is selectable. That means if I click in my map, I will select everything which is underneath that mouse button. I don't want that. I only want to move around with buildings. Okay? Everyone got that? This is very cool to maintain your state of sanity. Particularly because you control what is selectable or not. It's like here. I can grab the whole pile of folders, or I just say, I only want to select what's inside that binder, aka site planning. All right. So I've done that. Now, let's make it easy. Let's take the Victorian Road or whatever building this was. And I click one simple click in it. Pops up. Don't like the pop up. Can take click on the move. It says select one or more features. I click on the move, click on this, it gets highlighted. You also can see here, it's only one selected, it's nothing else, it's just this one, okay? Well, I drag and drop that and move it to the other block. And if I'm fancy, I would activate so-called snapping functions, so it snaps into place, or because this is good enough, I just move it in my grid. And double click. Okay, that's cool, is it?
Yes, very cool.
And so now.
No, it's not. No, the cool part is if I go back to my scene, it moved my 3D scene as well.
That's
Told you it's fun. But listen, 3 weeks ago, when we did digitizing, everyone's like, man, this professor on digitizing all these points and lines and polygons. This is the same thing. This is just fancy and cool because you actually have the 3D visualization right next to it. Or you have been exposed to digitizing before. All right, so let's do it a little bit more complicated. And then we close this. We might not get to the campus data. Campus is the same thing. Let's do the map. Unselect, clear selection here. Guys, yes, let's do 2 buildings at once. For those who have 2 luxury condominium towers. Here, let's do clear. So I have unselect everything. It says select one or more features. So I'm going to click here on my condominium tower. I use Shift to make sure I can click on multiple things as well. This was not trained, so it might actually not take the whole thing. It has buildings. Go back. Buildings, parking. Doesn't like me right now. Yeah? I can select this as well through the table. Let's do it like this. Go through table. If I do Control, click on Control, I'm Shift and Control, I select both of them. See that? They're both selected now. I see in the screen here 2 buildings selected. All right. What happens if I click copy? It says copy selected rows into the clipboard. Let's try this. Maybe you can copy a whole building. All right. And finish. Did it work? Did we get a second copy? Maybe not. I'm making this up right now. I didn't practice this. Yeah, but I still can move this whole thing.
Maybe we gotta paste it in the row.
Still can move this. Yeah. I can copy it on the screen, paste it on the screen, move it here. Double click. All right, so I copy and pasted the object multiple times. Right now I copied and pasted just the parking garage. So you have one luxury tower already. You can actually modify this and then duplicate multiple times. Yeah?
What does the word planarize mean?
So what?
What does the word planarize mean? Planarize?
Flatten out. Huh? All right. Let's save this one. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect. This is just about let's open up that new bookshelf and everything in 3D. Okay, remember the campus stuff we did? Let's do the campus stuff in a different way and close the 3D session. To do this in a different way is I go back to catalog, go to campus for class, yes.
It's just like a board. From the beginning, it was something like this.
Now, if you go back to the map,
So then you can parse it out behind your thing.
You're not don't tell us.
Oh, you didn't tell them behind.
And if you get rid of
I got towers.
Okay, so this is the fun part. Let's do it. Let's do one short exercise. How you would do that in a real world example. Yeah. If you're trying to do some real estate development and say these are a bunch of existing buildings and I want to plug in something new. All right. So if I go here back to catalog, campus for class GDB, click on that and see campus with height. Back on catalog. In your 3D fun folder, campus for class and height. And I click that and add to the map again. This is again a process we have done before. I can also say add to new and say local scene. So I save time to put it in the map, fix it, and etc. I just say add to new local scene. So I started a few steps. Instead of adding it to a map, add a new scene, prepare everything in for the scene, I just say add to new scene. All right? So by default, it will load the background imagery, 3D models and that, and it shows a few of the building footprints. We are here right now. Where's the business school? Business school we know is here. There's supposed to be a garage. Why don't I see the business school in the garage yet? No, it's not an old map. It's been done in the last year.
It's still loaded?
No, it's loaded already. Because I'm looking at the 3D rendering and there is elevation activated. So for some reason, all my buildings are in one flat level, but everything else has terrain on top of it already. Yeah. So if I can deactivate that and I see all my buildings. Yeah. Or I just keep it like this. So again, the same thing. It's a 3D scene. So I'm using shift and control keys, left and right mouse buttons, and rearrange a few things so I get this perspective. Yeah. And it's a 3D scene I want to build, and I know I want to build this with extrusion. So same thing. Taking the base height or absolute height. See that slightly different setups. And I say we're taking the field, which is going to be the building height. Actually, mean C. Absolute is fine. Mean C. Remember I talked about LiDAR data and you take all those random points on top of a building and you calculate the average? That's the average C. Yeah? All right, so now I would have all these buildings. I don't like how they look right now because they are not really realistic in terms of the shape and the design. So I elevate them again by a factor of 1.25. Because I like the way this looks. A little bit higher now. Okay. So I also can change the colors and all that, but if I want to go really fancy, what I also can do now is I can start again this little tiny idea of an animation and say, where was it? Where was that little button for video? Anyone? I'm looking for the video button. No, it was like map or insert. Yours view. Add animation, yeah. This is such a powerful tool and it's so small to find. Again, if you don't use that on a regular basis. Alright, so again, we can do snapshots here. You can zoom in, you create an animation. Yeah. Could zoom in, rotate this whole thing, and then basically say add a new keyframe. Yeah. Another keyframe. Rotate. And just for demonstration purposes, have it run like that. Alright. So you also could do that for our scene here. Now remember, go to view, add the animation, enter a keyframe here, zoom in a little bit, enter another keyframe, zoom in, and just let it run. Alright? So next time you're on a planning and zoning commission meeting, everyone's like, wow, this is cool. Alright, this is as far as we can go. Spend a little bit more time than before on that, but I think this is giving you the idea, hey, all this digitizing stuff actually has a really cool purpose in the back. Alright? Okay, we started this whole lecture today with buffers. All right, let's close out here. I want to do this online first. It's a little bit easier, and I can show you online geocoding too. Save all the edits, yes. Takes a moment. All right, there was one file we did download. Downloads. We have seen before. Gesundheit. That's a geocoding zip file. Okay? So, one thing I want to do is I want to extract that, and I know in the geocoding session zip file are a bunch of tools. One of the tools is the SumParcel geodatabase table. All right? So if I just double click into that, double click through, this is the Excel worksheet table I would be interested in. If you have that on your jump drive and you're scared of the zip file, take the jump drive. I'm going to set this up. I'm going to just say extract all in my downloads. I don't care that we're going to put this right now in any folder anywhere. Okay? If I remember right, then I click into geocoding session. If I click into that, there's a bunch of files called small wrapper. Yeah? That is a shape file which consists of 5 subtypes. It will show up in ArcPro and other places of GIS as one. It's called small wrapper. One of the files tells you what's inside the database. The other file says how big it is, what's the shape, what's the geometry, all that. Do not delete those single files. Hell will break loose, it will freeze over, and the rains of the heavens are coming down to earth. That is a description of your mental state if something goes wrong when you delete that. Don't. Rule of thumb, don't mess around with File Explorer when you want to copy and paste geospatial data. Use Catalog. Literally open up a dummy project inside your Pro and move things around. Or open up the old school Arc Catalog and move things around. You will not start to cry if you do this the right way. Also, it's extremely frustrating if you are getting lost in accidentally deleting data. All right, so I know that this is placed here. All right, so I'm improvising 2 big steps right now into the online world. How do we get data into the online world? How do we create data in our online world? We have done drive time analysis. We found a location on the map, but we have not really yet done create data. We didn't do a digitizing project yet in ArcGIS Online. We didn't, did we? No. Why don't we do one? All right, so I'm going to open up arcgis.com. Preferable in Chrome. Something we have done multiple times. We'll do a sign in. Sign in as my student account. All right, this is a very important note. Whatever we are going to do now, you need to personalize your file names. Let's say with your initials. The way the system right now is set up, only one file name can exist in the whole organization. So if you create a file, it's called tester1. Tester1 exists only once in that organization. Anywhere in the cloud that is associated with this university's account, only one file can be called that name. So whenever you have a chance to change a file name locally on your computer or during the upload process, add your initials to it. It's a little bit messy on my side to find 50 different versions and all that. But did you get the wrong password again?
No.
All right. Yeah, so keep that in mind. If something goes wrong, first rule of thumb, if something goes wrong, it might be the file name. Yeah? And first rule of thumb, if something goes wrong, it might be the file name in the online world. Right click is your friend on the desktop pro world. All the hidden functions you need to deal with projects and your fun is on the right click usually before you get lost on the ribbons on the top. All right, so let's geocode. Geocode in ArcGIS Online. Super easy. I go to my content. All right. I don't care right now where I'm going to put this. All right, it's in my bucket, my personal bucket. Still loading. And I say, do I add item? Yeah, add item. All right. From my computer. Gesundheit. And now this looks the same way for all the crazy stuff you can do. It's kind of the upload form for everything we want to do. Please note, the form will change based on the data you want to add to your projects. All right? If your computer completely is bailing on you right now, relax and watch carefully. We're video recording this. I'd rather have your attention to the big screen and follow than being completely in panic mode on your own computer. Okay? So, if I want to add an item to my computer, I click choose the file. And I go to the location where I use the downloads. So, hey, listen, I have the downloads still open, don't I? I click here and say Control Z, Charlie, for copy. And in the open field, let's open this again. And in the open field, because it's a different size here on my screen, let's move this around for you. In the open field, I change my path as well with Control V to my download field. So all the double click into the rabbit hole, I don't have to repeat that. I found the location I really want. I know. I just can copy and paste that path. If that is too complicated, double click it again or organize it prior to that. Put that file on your desktop or on a place where you really feel safe and happy. Okay? Data management is a level of comfort of your personal attitude with your computer and the computer and you. It's a mutual relationship. If I know exactly where I want to place things, I can do this in 20 different subfolders. If I don't want to deal with that, I put everything in one big bucket. I want you guys to put everything in one big bucket. I'd rather have you guys find one folder and look at 2 or 3 or 5 different files than 20 different folders and you can't find the file. Is that clear? Particularly when you deal with your own projects for the end of the semester. Rather have, that's not the best way to organize, but it's a start to be organized. Have everything in a one bucket and a one pile and know it's there. You know where it is, you can access it. So if this was too complicated, just double click through all these steps again. And I want to take the look at the Excel table here. You can see this based on the icon. Or I scroll over and it says Microsoft Excel table. The sum parcels table. Rocket. And click open. So now the form updates. You upload the data and now it knows a few things about that form. Alright? One thing is I changed the name of that table because right now I'm uploading 26 times a table. I'm going to put my initials on the back. If it still works wrong, someone might have the same initials. We live in America, so you actually can use 3 initials. I don't have a middle name, so It's just TW. Then I have to add a tag. I do just test as a tag. That's like the hashtag stuff. You organize things. Then, wait a minute. It has changed a few things. I can scroll down here. Wait a minute. It wants to ask me where and how I geocode this now. So just because you did upload the table, it looks at the table and says, hey, this is not spatially enabled. Let's geocode it. How would you like to geocode that? Are there coordinates in there? X, Y, lat, long. Are there addresses or places in there? Yes.
Is this doing this because it's ArcGIS Online?
Because the guys who program GIS online know that if you upload an Excel table, there are certain locations or certain ideas you want to do. So they said, let's make your workflow easier. And while you're adding and creating this data, why don't we give you the option, hey, you want to do this spatially or not? So now I can go by X, Y, lat longs. I can go by addresses or places, or I just say, nah, just put it up as a table. I don't care right now. Right now we want to do addresses and places. This is, again, you're like, okay, he tortured us through this bro thing. Now he's doing all this easy stuff. But it's a different battleship. Different way to do that. The great data power is in ArcBro. This is online, it's just quick and dirty, easy, cool. I'm not really happy with it's really great stuff, but I'm not really happy if you want to put that in the print report on all the little things. It's great for showing something on a web page. If you don't have a laptop with you, for those who have a Mac, did you get the simulation software, emulation software? Did you check on that?
I have copied the computer till tomorrow.
All right. So that's also a way to simulate or emulate Windows on a Mac. So you don't have to buy an expensive laptop if you have a Mac already. But, well, there are different ways to deal with that. If you have a $10,000 Mac computer, I'm not recommending to buy a $1,000 laptop or something like that. You can do other things here as well, but let's go through the idea of the table. GIS coding service. We have done that. Loads it, activates it, only in the United States, okay? Now, this is an older table, but we know which fields have our addresses. Remember that? What's that? Physical address, physical city. So now, I'm going the other way around. I need to tell that physical address 1 is, click on it, equivalent to address or place. Just click on it and it will change. Careful, don't be trigger happy, just be gentle. Physical address 2, we didn't use. Physical city, well, click on it, it's going to be our city. Simple click. Physical zip code, it's gonna be our zip code, the regular zip code. All right. Everything else we didn't touch. We know it's in the United States already. We can activate that here. Everything else we keep and we just add item. Fingers crossed with the initials at the end, it should be fine to set this up. All right. Take some time. And in this case, it gave me 392 locations were matched. If I want to review the matched locations, I don't want that right now. Please note, if it only finds your zip code or your town, but not your address of the house, it's still a match. So in theory, this could be matched all together in the state of Florida. It's a match. It's not accurate, it's a match. So you gotta make sure that you understand this. If you geocode tables, you need to double check again if it done the job right. Top of the building of these houses, rather than everyone in the football stadium. That's fine. That's fine. If there's a mix up, again, it's not, it runs every time a address. It's not always perfect. Yeah? But you should have something like in the 390 range. If you have 110, you had a field in the wrong way. All right? So if I say no, I don't want a rematch, you also can see here, it opened up all these features for me. Yeah? So if I click on Map Viewer, all these orange dots I can see are popping up. And because I added new data to the map, it asks me what kind of style do you want, what kind of size. If I only want to show the location, I click here, show location only. And I say done. Yeah? So again, this was geocoding 101 in ArcGIS Online. You can, if you want to log in, we're doing another step, which is building on top of that, but it's independent from processes we do because we can jumpstart again. So you don't do that.
Next thing we add some tags.
Yep. Tags. A test. Yeah, this is like a library folder where it says, okay, you gotta put some identification on it. You just, if you say geocoding, if you could search now for those tags, and you say everything that's geocoded. Yeah? And everything else is fine. You need to name the table if you're initially over the title. And match fields. And it should be fine. Well, everyone has that? Everyone has that? Let me help you. Hello. Looks good to me.
It came and I got it late.
What about the wrong free
Sorry.
Alright, so I can change things around here. Right now I'm looking at the pure location. What do I know about this table? The table is called sum addresses, but we have seen from other exercises that this table contains what? Real data, like land value. L&D val was the field, remember? If you don't remember, I can click here on that button and says show table. Alright, show table pops it up. I can go through this, let's see here, land value, land units, no land units, land square footage. Hoping I read the acronyms the right way. I want to play with land value. Yes, please.
Does filtering through cost points?
Nope.
It doesn't?
Nope.
Okay.
And if it would do for 400, just about 400 points, all the prep I did last night for all of the stuff was like 20.
Okay.
So we're not talking about swipe your credit card and lose $10,000.
Yeah, that's okay.
No, it's fractions of points. Yeah, and you actually can look at if you do certain processes, it actually shows you what it will charge you before you execute that. We'll get to that. Hopefully, we'll get to that. All right, let's do land values. Yeah, if I want to know where are the highest land values in my data set right now, one cool thing would be change the symbology, huh? Alright, symbology I can change with this funny thing. It's called change style. Alright? Are you guys with me or already checked out? I mean that in a serious way because I try to entertain you guys to stay awake with me because we're doing really cool stuff. Every cool stuff we're doing today is gonna be somewhere in the assignment. But you also get the feel. small little tool create power, but you need to deliver that little tool. All right? You still with me? You look so skeptical and tired today. All right, good. All right, if I click on change style, this is what we have seen before. Yeah? I can do single locations, I can do a heat map. Oh, let's click a heat map, huh? Let's just play with it. That, without any changes on how this tool calculates, gives me the impression red is hot, blue is cold. Meaning, just on the location only, I have a lot of locations here, a lot of locations here, but not so much here. But remember, I have at least one location here. So if I zoom in and zoom out, this whole thing is changing. So yeah, it's really cool, but not robust enough to make a statement. Huh? If I zoom in on the weather map with rain and thunderstorms, where I am, it still shows me this is the variable and this is the amount of rain at that location. Right now, if I keep my mouse and have this recompute, yeah, fairly, but if I look at this area here, it even starts stopping. Huh? Not the best way to do that. However, it's a very easy way to demonstrate your data in a web environment, and you don't have expensive software to deliver the web environment.
So this is showing density?
This is showing a heat map
Yeah, but
on an algorithm I have no control about. Yeah?
it looks like density.
It is the concept of density, but I have no control about the density. Yeah? Look. Look.
It looks like density.
It is different. It is a density tool. All right. However, the important part, what I want to show you guys is, what if I pair this up with values, real values, not just a location? What if I say my land value, LND val, here, is now the attribute I want to visualize. So it takes a look at the table. The system tells you, well, you have a different type of data. Now, based on a different type of data, it actually proposes to use the counts and amounts in sizable charts, or bubbles. If I click on the options, I can change all these, what I want. I can classify my data. Remember, we had issues about natural breaks, equal intervals, and other distances in how you range across your data. Are you going to break it in 5 classes, in 10 or 15? This is how you do that. Classify data. Let's say equal interval, and it will help you to modify that. Okay? That all said, now if I look at my locations combined with land value, I can see that in the southeast, I have larger land values reported. Didn't get it? All right. So again, you can pick any other value, you can pick any other way to display that.
So if you go here.
You have something because it had set geometry or something. So show.
Yeah, that's a Oh yeah, that's why it's divided. So these are full. Or other types of
Where did you mention it? Because we don't see them.
Really?
Good.
That's great.
Next step, we don't do this, we build up the data. So don't worry about
That's free, but I wanted to kind of sort it all out.
All right. So, again, repeat the idea. We found a table, we did upload it to the ArcGIS Online Cloud, we enabled the geocoding engine and put the data on the map. What if we have already a bunch of data and we want to use it in our setup? Let's do it. Let's edit. All right. You can save this if you want to. Save as. Yeah. Let's just do this as geocoder 1 or something like this. So you don't lose your work. Geocoder 1. Tag is maybe geocode. Yeah. And I want to save it in my folder and save the map. We had a time where we repeat a few steps. If you save your map in between, save some nerves. All right.
No existing tags.
If no existing tags is good because you just start a new one. Okay. I'm looking at the wrong sheet. Let's add data. All right. What else do we have to add data? Well, if we go back to our fun folder, actually the downloads. I did download parcels GDB and I did download the fun. I didn't really work with the parcels yet, did I? Huh? So this is a zip file. But .gdb gives away that this is a geodatabase. So I only not just can upload one single table, I can upload a whole database if I want to. Yeah? I can upload shape files. If I want to use upload for a shapefile, I would need to zip the whole shapefile. Yeah? So there are different ways to do this. Again, I apologize that the WinZip on this machine is a little bit weird, but the tool of zip files you need to use here. All right, so if I want to use the parcel GDB from my download folder in my online world, I am going to add this as an item. So I go back to content, home, content. All right. And I say add item. Same process like I did add my table, using here again, add an item from my computer. I get the same form I had before. I will choose my file. Choose my file. I will go to my downloads folder and I click on the parcels gdb.zip. All right? .zip might not show up. I just say parcels gdb is right now this. If I click that, wait. What's going on?
Oh, I thought I said, wait, apologies. Is that from the revenue department from before, or you pulled that off?
I call that. It's different.
Okay.
It's different. That's the parcels GDB is the zip file I put on Canvas for you to download.
Okay.
It contains parcels.
So it has to be the zip file.
It has to be the zip file.
That's right.
You don't unzip it. Just demonstrate this again. I go to choose file. In my downloads folder, I didn't do anything yet before. Just simply click on parcels.gdb. Because that's where I did download it to earlier. Click open, and now I can see parcels.gdb.zip.
What makes this one to be done with a zip file and the other one's not?
The other one was just an Excel table. For Excel table, I don't need to package it up. Think about the zip algorithm as a package, as a wrap. Huh? So if I look at the file tier database, okay, to give you a technical explanation, if I look at the content of a file tier database, I unzip this whole thing, I look into it, you need to have the zip file to deal with all these little files in between. This is your data right now. Cryptic, weird names. Do not delete anything. Do not go by hand into that. If you ever save a PDF file, I will find it. Do not search for it. Alright? Don't want to deal with this is open heart surgery. Open heart surgery while giving CPR.
That's not how, for me, but what I'm saying is I already unzipped the file.
Can't upload it with its unzipped.
Okay.
Because it's what it will do is the system now is check the zip file.
Is that function the same as add layer to a file?
No, it's different. All right. Again, guys, we are in the at the advent of a upload of data. The moment you activate that upload for, I selected a zip file. It now asks me what's the content of that zip file. It could be a shape file like we did before. We plugged it in once in a while. We did download that from the Broward County's webpage. Yeah? Remember the libraries? If you want to upload the libraries or the schools from the Broward County webpage into here, it needs to be a zip file. So you download it as a zip, you can unpack it and do stuff locally for your work, or you upload it back again on yours. There are all other crazy options. For those who are Google fans, there's a KML collection as well. We're doing file tier database because it's GDB file. A simple one mouse click on it. Give it a moment to recognize what's going on. Scroll down. Give it a tag. If you don't want to be creative, just call it test. Alright? On the title, this is as it will be saved on your system. On the title, we call that with your initials. Alright, please note, we are going to do now 26 uploads of the same data in one package. There is a chance that for some reason, data inside doesn't like each other. Because you're uploading a file, let's say parcels, without initials. So it could fail. If it does fail right now in the purpose of this demonstration, we will modify a few things for the assignment. I want you to experience the tools and not the failure. Okay, that's a very important learning. Experience the tools, master the tools, and then we deal with failure. How to deal with the mastery of the tools. For right now, let's repeat the workflow we demonstrate. All right, that all said, I'm clicking at the item. Before I click, the anticipated step is this whole thing is uploading it, it's unpacking it, we'll take a look what's inside, and we'll, after some processing time, we'll show what's inside and what I have available. Okay? This is the anticipation. Christmas is coming or not. Alright, so far so good. And on the note, does this cost me money? Yes and no. Every data you upload will cost the organization money, points in storage. So if you decide to take aerial photography from the last 50 years and plug that into your account, I will give you a phone call and delete that data. Because I can control what you consume, I cannot control how much storage I have to pay for. Yeah. And let's say the midterm exam was like a peak of like 3,000, 4,000 points that day. Just to, if you look at the data, you can see storage and consumption. It's really cool. Don't worry about it too much, but the stuff we're doing in class, fine. Folks that are considering doing like county-wide data, this young man over there, do not use online work. You're better off dump 300,000 data points into your Pro. Yeah, because you don't pay for the storage over time. That means also if you're really storage consumptionist, that's the real word, yeah, after the end of this class, you get an email and say, hey, okay, fine, let's download and archive your work. If you don't want to use GIS the next 3 months, you don't need to have a school project sitting there. Yeah? So we do some cleanup at the end of the last session or a week later, so it doesn't consume unnecessary points. Like the exercises we have done today. You don't need that some parcels data table for anything else, unless you want to repeat exercises. Small little things, shouldn't be really bothering much, but the old system that will switch off tomorrow. So, speaking of tomorrow the license model will change officially. So if you're here on Monday and the computers are not working, give me a buzz. They're all set for the next year's maintenance. But I keep going and get emails about licensing will change. Yeah? Tomorrow is the big day of switching things over. Every machine here should not be affected, but it's on a big X on my calendar. Yeah? So the old system, the old online system, as an example for in terms of storage, produced 250 to 300 points a day, based on old class stuff and research work. Yeah? So we got to add that up. Again, details in data management. All right, speaking of data management, what do we have here right now? If I look at this, finally rendered here the preview, the thumbnail, I can see a bunch of dots. I see also something blue. The dots could be parcels again, okay? The blue, I don't know yet. Well, let's take a look at this. I have a small wrapper. I have GC for geocode some parcels. Same thing we had earlier, but I did do that before. And this is an artifact from a project we did, playing with some data. Yeah? Some selection. All right, and then there's a data table separately. Remember, there was a DBF table included, .dbf. But again, I didn't do anything crazy, just uploaded a zip file, named it the right way. I have all that. You know what? Let's open this up in the map viewer. And I click on this arrow here, okay? Because I right now don't want to change the style. I just want to organize things and get acquainted what is what, all right? You also can see that the names now is the geodatabase with your initial and the layer underneath. You pretty much look at the box with veggies in there and they're all a bunch of onions. Yes, please. You're fine? All right. All right, let's organize this. I have 3 layers I deal with here. Yeah? I want to have the so-called small wrapper at the bottom. So I click on here until the move sign shows, the icon changes, and I drag and drop it here to the bottom of my data. Can you see that? Done that? Happy? One more time. I want to have, let's say, the Davy 100 on the top of my organized order. I move over here until the mouse changes and I drag and drop it a few levels higher. Gesundheit. The Davy 100 do not really show precisely right now here on my map. I want to change that symbology. I want to make it really bright, really change the appearance. How do I do that? I go to change the style. You guys with me still? All right, cool. Change the style, location only, single symbols, click on symbol. Again, this is similar what you do in catalog, in Pro. It's just slightly visually different. The workflow is the same. I want to make a change in appearance. How do I change the appearance? Here online, it's called symbols or create appearance. So change the symbol. And I just take big blue dots. If it's too small, I can change that. Let's do it like really big, 38 or something like that. Again, if it's 50 or 25, doesn't matter. I want to have a significant visual representation, difference in representation. because I want to play with data. I don't want to make this look nice. This is a moment where I switch everything like to purple. Huh? Alright. So I want to do 2 or 3 more things. I did talk about buffers. I want to show buffers again. I did last week very shortly buffers on Arc Pro. I want to do buffers here. Same tool, same concept, just maybe 1 mouse click different. Huh? So we're doing buffers, and I want to show you guys how, let's say, digitize a few things. Super simple. Again, think about we're doing, well, we could do cookie cutter too. Yeah. So this is like starting Christmas cookies. We're playing with the dough. We are ready with the dough. Now we're going to figure out what kind of shape we want to do this, what kind of location on the field we want, or tray we want to do that. Are we doing white sprinkles, colorful sprinkles, put some chocolate on it, or make it like buttery yellow with some egg yolk? Okay. Since we already have Christmas trees at the Home Depot, we can do talk about Christmas food. Don't get me started with Thanksgiving. I'm more crazy about cooking for Thanksgiving. All right. Doing buffers. We got to deal with buffers. All right. Why is that not on here? All right. Remember buffers? Buffers draws a certain proximity distance to my location. All right. If I am going to click only on the DB100s, I can do a perform analysis here, or I can do analysis here. So if I click on this one and do find look proximity, it's proximity buffers, I have buffers here. I create buffers, and I can go again step by step through this function of that tier processing tool. I want to select the following features of DB100 to buffer 1 mile. And here's a little side note. If you want to create multiple buffers, you do that with a space separation. Let's do a 1 mile buffer first. Result layer name, I keep the default at this moment. Yes, please.
Do we want to do the options of overlap or dissolve?
We're not there yet. We don't want to do the options. Yeah, where did you see the options here? Yeah. Overlap is fine. What does this create? 8:30 a.m. this morning. What does this create if I do overlaps?
Friday.
And it's producing fried eggs that do not flow with each other into the egg white. It's separate eggs. Only dissolve is mixing the egg whites. Okay? You can see that here again with the picture. Dissolve, those are the egg whites example. This is 2 eggs in opposite corners fried on the plate. Okay? Speaking of eggs, it's almost lunch. All right, and I run this. For those who are eager to know what does this cost you now as points, you can say show the credits. It will pop up. Total records 14. This is the fraction of a credit you're going to pay for that. All right? So imagine if you have 10,000 items, you're going to pay certainly more for that. All right, let's do this. Run the analysis. And once this is done, it should add a bunch of bluish or yellowish or blue, reddish circles around this. So while this is running, yeah, I could do multiple buffers. Still running. All right. So how would I do multiple buffers? Huh? It's nice, I can show that. It doesn't make sense if I have multiple locations so close to each other with the overlap, but if this would be one solution here, I can say here, this is a property, here's a property, here's a property of interest, and they're close by. Yeah, if this would be only one, I can show what's in the neighborhood. All right. So, just for the fun of it, I could do multiple buffers. Yeah, what's the expected outcome? Tons of overlap, complete disaster. Let's do one thing. Let's do 1 mile buffers, single buffers, meaning one distance only, dissolve, since we had that question. I go back to Davy 100, perform an analysis, use the proximity buffers, 1 mile, double check that I have selected Davy 100 here. Do not select buffers of Davy 100. That means you would buffer the buffer. And after you buffer the buffer with the buffer and the buffer is buffered and the buffer is buffled. Yep. So Davy 100, always double check the input values. Davy 100, distance 1 mile. So we should get something like this. However, we're going to do a dissolve in options. And right now I don't care about the name. So it's going to be buffer of something, and it's probably going to ask me for a name. Let's do a different name, buffer 2. Buffer 2, just to avoid error messages. Click run. The anticipated outcome is I see something in the same way, but instead of all these 14 circles, I will see one big warm-ish style feature. Yeah? Like bubbles. Cool. So while this is computing, let's add some more data to our system. Let's digitize online. So you add that toolbox and those 2 screwdrivers to the online world. So if I ask you, hey, digitize something, you can do this online or you can do this in ArcPro, wherever you feel more comfortable. Again, assignment number 2 is about a workflow and its outcome. I don't care if it's going to be online or in Pro. Granted, digitizing in Pro is a little bit a while ago. It's the same process. You modify, click, edit, same thing. Yes.
So if you had countywide data, you dump all of that into Pro, and then can you clip down?
Yes.
And then you use that.
Yes, I would. You can do that. Again, and in Pro, you're connected to the portal. So you can shoot that up, straight up and down, and publish it. All right, did the dissolve work? Yes. So if I go here and deactivate my other old buffers, because right now this looks like all the little ones, I get one area. So if I have multiple locations, if these would be fast food restaurants, I could say this is the fast food coverage area in 1 mile distance to the fast food restaurant, to give you a real estate component again. Yeah? This is just purely the location put into context of a 1 mile buffer. All right. So let's save this. Save. Let's call it buffers. TW. Tags is a test. And save. What if I know exactly your location, don't really know the address, and really want to put this on a place? And I don't just want to use here, find the address and the place, like we did in the midterm, NSU Art Museum. Yeah? If it's in Fort Lauderdale. They might find it immediately. So what if I don't do that? What else could I do? What if I have an area of interest I would like to select? I could generate a simple overlay feature that indicates my site of interest, area of interest. How do I do that? Well, to save this first again, because I moved things around. I go to Home and Content. We played with this button here, Add Item. We didn't play with this one, Create. And believe it or not, last year this was a pain. Now it's completely fun. create. We can have all these different functions here again. What we want to do is we want to create a feature layer. If I do a create a feature layer, now I can see all these tons of different functions and industries. Let's say telecommunications, door-to-door sales, location, retail stores. Well, this is way too complicated for my class. Exploding here. I don't need that. What I really want is like a simple point, polyline, or polygon layer. Build a layer is your friend. Are you guys with me still?
Yeah.
Alright. Build a layer is my friend. So if I click build a layer, it shows up with 4 options. The points, the lines, the polygons. Well, that's the cool stuff. It also combines them. For the ease of mind in data management, you guys, keep them separated right now. Yeah? This is what? Elbows, spaghetti, lasagna. This is your pasta salad. Huh? Who puts lasagna in the pasta salad? Shame on you. All right, let's do a point. Let's do a point. Build a feature layer to collecting point data after creating empty layers, define fields and domains, blah, 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 blah. Yes, great. Yes, create. Next. All right, this is a little bit the tech stuff. It kind of wants to know where in the world are you going to play with this. Well, we're doing this in South Florida, so we just simply move this down to South Florida and keep it simple. If you do the South Florida now, and you want to edit and create in the Bahamas some points, it's not going to let you do that. So this is a thing you need to know. What's your playground? Yeah, are you playing football in Miami, or are you playing football in Cincinnati versus Seattle? Does Seattle still have a football team? I think so. Huh? All right. So everything else down there, I don't care. I just zoom in where I think this is a larger area of interest. If you want to do the airport project, you are going to move down here and do the airport project. Yeah? All right, let's do this. Click next. Name it. This is a point layer. So I call it my points TW. And you can see I wrote points with capital P. Helps a little bit to find things. I can be nice, write something in the summary, blah, 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 blah. Why not? I don't care. I'm very lazy with this. And it creates a feature layer. Takes some time. So now we created a shell and we could add points to it. Okay? I will also say add it to the map. Since we are already here, or while we are here in that content area, why don't we create a polygon immediately as well? Same process, just different type. For time-saving purposes and being organized, let's create all the shells we want and then play with the data input. All right, so I go back to content. Say create, feature layer, build a layer, find my polygons, my friends, and the same thing. For collecting polygon data, blah, 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 we can add fields, etc. Create, click next, find a similar context for the Miami area, and hit next. Call that my polygon. Alright, don't care about the summary at this point, and click done. And it will take a moment. Will take a moment. Will take a moment. This is where you start whistling elevator music. Alright. Fine. So I created my polygons. Why don't I look at them at the map viewer right now? Again, this is a standard view we have seen here before. Yeah, polygon layer and all that. click on Map Viewer. Ideally, it opens a new map. It could also put things on top of our existing map. Right now it doesn't show anything because we didn't create anything yet. There's nothing in there. All right? If I want to create something, I click on that edit button here. If I click on that edit button, it says add a new feature. I click on this, and now I'm in the editing digitizing mode. And now it says clicks to start drawing. Press Control to enable snapping. I don't care right now about the snapping, but I'll go here to the Turnpike and Davy Griffin Road. Click once, 2 or 3 times over here. Gently follow 75. Don't get confused that this follows you with this kind of wedgy look. Click, click. And when I want to finish this, I double click to complete. And I say close. I don't care right now about area or length, and hit close. All right? Now, this is the important part. I close this. I need to find here the option called Save. I need to rearrange my screen. There's the option down there. It should be down there with Save. If not, it's saved automatically. Yeah? And now I created an overview map of interest. How do I get that back to my other map? How would you try to do that? I would, first of all, try to save this as digitizing. Test. And save. Hey, I also have this polygon right now. I could also click on this and say analysis, proximity, create a buffer around that, and with just 1 mile, just to give you a mind-blowing experience, run the analysis, and it would buffer my zone here as well. The feature I just created. All right? One last thing. If I want to show that area of interest in my other map, one element I can do is I go to content. It's the last thing we do today. This was my map with the parcels, was it? Yep. So I open my map. There are different ways to open that. And if I want to add more data to it, we did this with the World Atlas. Remember one of the first sessions we did with the World Living Atlas? I can search for layers, and I can search them anywhere where I do work in my system, my content, favorites, organization, etc. And somewhere in my content, I have my polygon TW, and add to the map. And right now, the one I just edited in a different browser window or session just got back to the map. Again, this is about be organized in your buckets, stay in your bucket, worst case, add and replace a few things. All right? I hope you had fun today. We didn't get down to repeat on the buffers on Pro, but that's okay. I hope you realize today where you're at already in a place of awesomeness with the shares, all the stuff and the trouble you had before, the frustration before. It feels way easier right now to click through a bunch of navigations. Geocoding today was a piece of cake. Why? You understand the concept, you did a different workflow, but you did other workflows prior to that. It's like, oh, geocoding again? No, it was slightly different. All right. We did fall short on time to go through your projects. I would like to do the following thing. First of all, I have office hours. I can do by appointments. We have Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, and Thursday nights lab hours here. I need to double check the next 2 weeks, but I would like to join you guys for one of those weeknights. Need to double check my schedule. I don't have it. It could be Thursday. I would prefer Tuesday or Wednesday, like a 6 till 8 or something like that, or do exchange of office hours from a 5 till 7, just to accomplish give you a little bit more deal with the travel times. Okay. The way this GIS project works the best is you need to start clicking things around, experience a few things. I can't just go in and say, find this, find that, do this. The best way of learning and experience is you try to solve this, and you come with me and say, I tried to solve this here. This one worked. This one I have issues with. Let's work on this. Depending on the data you're using, there might be a tool you have not experienced yet. I do encourage you guys to take a look at tools like even the online world, for those who are looking at reports and all that. You can fancy out your work a lot with just those tools. Be careful with data enrichment. This is like the business analyst extension in a different way. If you put 10,000 pieces in there, you will charge 10,000 pieces every time you use it. No? So be aware of what you deal. Do not worry about 50 or 100 points for this project, or even 500. There's enough points available for getting through this class and beyond. I want you to find a way to, if it says aggregate points, at least read the help function. Even those pictograms help to understand where you're coming from. If you don't want to read 20 pages, read just 2 paragraphs. So, what did we do today? To give you an idea on the assignment, we did 3D work. 3D work in Catalog, in Pro. Yeah. We did some digitizing, move things around in Pro. When we switched to the online world, did geocoding online, we did some buffers online, we did some different map projects, and we explored how to create polygons and start with a point. Adding a point is the same way. Load the point layer, click the edit button, and you're happy. All right? That's enough fun stuff to do. Hi.
What chapter would you say this is?
All the geoprocessing chapters. I can look that up. Send me an email. I'm more than happy to point out features again. Yeah, geodatabases, geoprocessing, buffers. Yeah. All right. See you later. Have fun.